5,000 years ago, in the cradle of civilization, the Sumerians looked up at the night sky and saw something that would challenge everything we think we know about ancient knowledge. They didn't just map the stars, they mapped stars that shouldn't have been visible to the naked eye. Stars that modern astronomers only discovered with powerful telescopes in the 20th century. How did they know? Tonight, we're diving into one of the most controversial mysteries in human history. Evidence that suggests our earliest ancestors possessed astronomical knowledge so advanced, so impossibly precise, that it raises a question most academics refuse to even whisper. Were the Sumerians guided by someone or something not of this world? But before we go down this rabbit hole, let me be clear about something. I'm not here to convince you of anything. I'm here to show you the evidence, the actual artifacts, the mathematical precision, the star maps that have been sitting in museums for decades while scholars quietly debate what they really mean. Because what we're about to explore isn't just ancient history. It's a puzzle that could rewrite everything we thought we knew about the origins of human civilization. The Sumerians weren't supposed to know about Neptune. They weren't supposed to understand the precession of the equinoxes. They weren't supposed to have detailed knowledge of planetary orbits that we only confirmed with space telescopes. And yet, carved into clay tablets over 4 millennia ago, there it is, knowledge that seems to come from nowhere, appearing fully formed in the dawn of recorded history. Some call it impossible. Others call it evidence of something extraordinary. Tonight, we're going to examine the star maps, decode the symbols, and follow the breadcrumbs of knowledge that lead to one inescapable conclusion. The Sumerians knew things they had no business knowing, and the implications of that knowledge might be the most important discovery in human history. So, settle in, because we're about to journey back to ancient Mesopotamia, where the first cities rose from the desert and the first humans learned to write. But more importantly, we're going back to a time when someone, or something, was teaching our ancestors about the cosmos in ways that still make modern scientists uncomfortable. The year was 1876. French diplomat and archaeologist Ernest de Sarzec was excavating the ancient Sumerian city of Gersu when he uncovered something that would puzzle researchers for the next century and a half. Among the usual pottery shards and broken tools, he found a series of clay tablets covered in cuneiform script, the world's first known writing system. But these weren't ordinary administrative records or epic poems. These tablets contained something far more extraordinary, detailed astronomical observations and star maps of breathtaking precision. At first, scholars dismissed them as primitive attempts at understanding the night sky. After all, what could Bronze Age farmers possibly know about astronomy? But as translation work progressed through the early 20th century, a disturbing pattern began to emerge. The Sumerians weren't just tracking the obvious celestial bodies, the sun, moon, and bright planets visible to the naked eye. They were documenting the movements of objects that shouldn't have been detectable without modern telescopes. The tablets described planetary periods with accuracy that wouldn't be matched again until the Renaissance. They contained references to what appeared to be moons of Jupiter and Saturn, bodies invisible to the naked eye and unknown to European astronomy until Galileo's telescope revealed them in the 1600s. Most shocking of all, they seemed to possess detailed knowledge of the outer planets, Uranus and Neptune, which weren't officially discovered by Western science until 1781 and 1846, respectively. But here's where it gets really interesting. The Sumerians didn't just know these planets existed. They knew their orbital periods. They understood their relationships to other celestial bodies. They had incorporated this knowledge into a sophisticated understanding of cosmic cycles that influenced everything from their calendar to their religious practices. Dr. Zechariah Sitchin, the controversial scholar who spent decades translating Sumerian texts, made a startling claim in the 1970s. According to his interpretation, the tablets didn't just describe our solar system, they described it from a perspective that no earthbound observer should have possessed. The star maps seem to show our solar system from the outside looking in, as if viewed from a vantage point in deep space. Now, Sitchin's interpretations have been heavily criticized by mainstream academics, and for good reason. Many of his translations have been disputed, and his conclusions often leap far beyond what the evidence can support. But here's the thing that even his harshest critics can't explain away: the underlying astronomical accuracy of the original tablets themselves. When modern astronomers input the Sumerian data into computer models, something remarkable happens. The orbital mechanics described in these ancient texts align with our current understanding of planetary motion to a degree that should be statistically impossible for Bronze Age observers using only the naked eye. Take, for example, the Sumerian understanding of precession, the slow wobble of Earth's axis that causes the position of stars to shift over thousands of years. This is an incredibly subtle phenomenon that requires precise observations over multiple generations to detect. The ancient Greeks knew about it, but only because Hipparchus spent decades comparing his observations to records made centuries earlier. The Sumerians, however, seem to understand precession intimately, incorporating it into their mythology and calendar systems from the very beginning of their civilization. Their creation myth, the Enuma Elish, describes cosmic events with a precision that makes modern cosmologists pause. It speaks of the formation of the solar system, the creation of the asteroid belt, and the establishment of planetary orbits in ways that eerily parallel our current scientific understanding. Coincidence? Perhaps. But the more we dig into these ancient texts, the more coincidences we find. The Sumerian astronomical records also demonstrate knowledge of phenomena that require instruments to observe. They tracked the phases of Venus with mathematical precision, understood the complex dance of the moon's orbit, and possessed detailed knowledge of eclipse cycles. This level of astronomical sophistication didn't appear anywhere else in the ancient world for centuries. But perhaps most intriguingly, the Sumerians claimed this knowledge didn't originate with them. According to their own records, their astronomical wisdom came from the Anunnaki, beings they described as coming from the heavens to teach humanity the arts of civilization. These weren't gods in the traditional sense, but rather physical beings with advanced knowledge who served as teachers and guides for early human society. The question that haunts researchers is simple. If the Sumerians developed this astronomical knowledge through their own observations, where are the records of that development? Where are the centuries of trial and error, the gradual refinement of techniques, the slow accumulation of data that should characterize any scientific endeavor? Instead, we find something that appears fully formed at the dawn of recorded history, a sophisticated understanding of the cosmos that seems to have no developmental period, no learning curve. It's as if someone handed the Sumerians a complete manual of astronomical knowledge and said, "Here, use this to build your civilization." Modern archaeology has revealed that Sumerian civilization appeared with startling suddenness around 3500 BCE. Within a few centuries, they had developed writing, mathematics, astronomy, metallurgy, and complex urban planning. This wasn't a gradual evolution from hunter-gatherer societies. It was an explosion of knowledge and capability that transformed the region almost overnight. The conventional explanation is that favorable environmental conditions and the need for irrigation management in Mesopotamia drove rapid technological development. But this explanation struggles to account for the specific astronomical knowledge that seems to have no practical application for Bronze Age farmers and city builders. Why would early Sumerians need to know the orbital period of Neptune? How would understanding the precession of the equinoxes help them build their first cities? What practical purpose could knowledge of Jupiter's moons serve for a civilization that had only recently invented the wheel? These questions become even more pressing when we examine the mathematical sophistication underlying Sumerian astronomy. Their base 16 number system, which we still use for measuring time and angles, was perfectly suited for astronomical calculations. Their understanding of geometry and trigonometry was centuries ahead of other civilizations. They possessed knowledge of mathematical constants and relationships that wouldn't be rediscovered in the West until the Renaissance. Dr. Robert Temple, author of The Serious Mystery, has pointed out that the Sumerians weren't unique in possessing seemingly impossible astronomical knowledge. The Dogon people of Mali possess detailed knowledge of Sirius B, a white dwarf star invisible to the naked eye. Ancient Hindu texts describe cosmic timescales that align remarkably well with modern cosmology. Egyptian pyramid builders incorporated astronomical alignments with a precision that requires advanced mathematical knowledge. What connects all these examples is the same puzzling pattern: advanced astronomical knowledge appearing without any clear developmental history, often accompanied by claims that the knowledge came from divine or otherworldly sources. The skeptical response is that these ancient peoples were more capable observers than we give them credit for. That patient observation over generations could yield surprisingly accurate results. That we're reading too much into coincidental alignments and mathematical relationships. But the sheer volume of these coincidences is becoming difficult to dismiss. Each individual example might be explained away, but the pattern across multiple civilizations and time periods suggests something more systematic at work. The Sumerian star maps are particularly compelling because they represent the earliest known example of this phenomenon. They appear at the very beginning of recorded history, setting a template that would be echoed in later civilizations around the world. If we can understand what happened in ancient Mesopotamia, how the Sumerians acquired their impossible knowledge, we might finally solve one of humanity's greatest mysteries. But to do that, we need to look beyond the conventional archaeological interpretation. We need to examine the evidence with fresh eyes, free from the assumptions that have shaped academic thinking for over a century. We need to consider possibilities that mainstream scholarship has been reluctant to explore, because the more we learn about Sumerian astronomy, the more it becomes clear that we're not just looking at advanced ancient science. We're looking at evidence of contact between early human civilization and intelligence far more advanced than anything that should have existed on Earth 5,000 years ago. The implications of this contact, if it truly occurred, would revolutionize our understanding of human history. It would explain the sudden appearance of civilization, the mysterious gaps in our developmental record, and the persistent global traditions of knowledge coming from the heavens. But more than that, it would mean that we're not alone, and that we never have been. That throughout human history, we've had teachers, guides, perhaps even protectors, watching over our species as we struggled to understand our place in the cosmos. The Sumerian star maps might be more than ancient astronomical records. They might be proof that the first chapter of human civilization was written not by us, but with us. A collaboration between terrestrial and extraterrestrial intelligence that set the stage for everything that followed. And if that's true, then the next question becomes even more profound. Are they still here? Are they still watching? And what do they want us to do with the knowledge they left behind? These are the questions that the evidence demands we ask. Questions that make academics uncomfortable because they challenge the fundamental assumptions about human development and our place in the universe. But questions that become impossible to ignore once you've seen what the Sumerians actually knew and considered what that knowledge really means. The star maps are just the beginning. As we dig deeper into the Sumerian record, the evidence becomes even more compelling, the implications even more staggering. Because what we're about to discover isn't just about ancient astronomy. It's about the true origins of human civilization and the cosmic intelligence that may have guided our species from the very beginning. The mathematics alone should have been impossible. When Dr. Hermann Hunger of the University of Vienna began his comprehensive analysis of Sumerian astronomical tablets in the 1990s, he expected to find primitive calculations, rough approximations that ancient observers might have cobbled together through trial and error. What he discovered instead left him questioning everything he thought he knew about the capabilities of Bronze Age civilizations. The tablets contained mathematical formulas for predicting planetary positions that were accurate to within fractions of a degree. Not over days or weeks, but over centuries. The Sumerians had somehow developed computational methods that could track the wandering paths of planets through the zodiac with a precision that wouldn't be matched again until the invention of mechanical calculators in the 18th century. But here's what makes this truly extraordinary. These weren't approximations that happened to work out. The mathematics were fundamentally correct. The Sumerians understood concepts like elliptical orbits, gravitational perturbations, and complex harmonic cycles that require sophisticated geometric and algebraic knowledge. They possessed mathematical tools that European civilization wouldn't rediscover for over 3 millennia. Take the Venus tablet of Amisaduqa, one of the most famous Sumerian astronomical records. This clay tablet tracks the appearances and disappearances of Venus as both morning and evening star over a period of 21 years. The observations are so precise that modern astronomers can use them to date the tablet to within a few decades, around 1650 BCE. But the mathematical framework underlying these observations reveals something far more sophisticated than simple record keeping. The tablet demonstrates understanding of Venus's synodic period, the time it takes for the planet to return to the same position relative to Earth and the Sun. The Sumerians calculated this period as 584 days, which is accurate to within hours of our modern measurement. They understood that 5 synodic periods of Venus equal exactly 8 Earth years, a relationship that forms a perfect pentagram when plotted geometrically. This level of mathematical precision requires not just careful observation, but advanced theoretical understanding. The Sumerians had to comprehend that planetary motions follow predictable mathematical relationships, that these relationships could be expressed as geometric patterns, and that these patterns could be used to predict future celestial events with extraordinary accuracy. Dr. David Brown of the Oriental Institute has spent decades studying Mesopotamian astronomy, and even he admits that the mathematical sophistication of these early records is difficult to explain through conventional models of technological development. The calculations appear fully formed, with no evidence of the centuries of refinement that such mathematical knowledge should require. But the mathematical mystery deepens when we examine the Sumerian number system itself. Their base 60 system wasn't just an arbitrary choice, it was perfectly optimized for astronomical calculation. The number 60 has more divisors than any other number below 100, making it ideal for the complex, fractional calculations required in astronomy. It divides evenly by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12, 15, 20, and 30, allowing for precise calculations without the decimal approximations that plague other number systems. This mathematical framework enabled the Sumerians to perform calculations that would challenge even modern astronomers working without computers. They could predict eclipses decades in advance, track the precession of the equinoxes across millennia, and calculate planetary conjunctions with startling precision. The sophistication extends beyond mere calculation. The Sumerians understood the relationship between mathematics and physical reality in ways that suggest deep theoretical knowledge. They knew that the same mathematical principles governing planetary motion also applied to other cyclical phenomena, from the rise and fall of river levels to the patterns of plant growth and animal behavior. This holistic understanding of mathematical principles appears in their architecture, their calendar systems, and even their legal codes. The famous Code of Hammurabi incorporates mathematical relationships based on astronomical cycles, suggesting that the Sumerians viewed cosmic order and earthly justice as fundamentally connected through mathematical law. But perhaps most remarkably, the Sumerians seem to understand that these mathematical relationships were universal, that the same principles governing motion in the solar system applied throughout the cosmos. Their creation myths describe the formation of the universe in terms of mathematical harmonies and geometric relationships that wouldn't look out of place in a modern cosmology textbook. This brings us to another puzzling aspect of Sumerian knowledge: their understanding of scale. The tablets don't just describe local astronomical phenomena, they demonstrate awareness of cosmic distances and time periods that stretch human comprehension. They understood that the stars were incredibly distant suns, that the universe was far older than human civilization, and that Earth was just one small world among countless others. How did Bronze Age observers develop such perspective? How did they leap from tracking the obvious cycles of sun and moon to understanding the vast scales of cosmic time and space? This conceptual jump represents one of the greatest intellectual achievements in human history, yet it appears to have happened without any transitional period of development. The conventional explanation is that the Sumerians were exceptionally gifted observers who developed their knowledge through centuries of patient skywatching. But this explanation struggles to account for the specific nature of their achievements. Many of the phenomena they understood require instruments to observe. Others require mathematical frameworks that took later civilizations millennia to develop. Consider their knowledge of stellar parallax, the tiny apparent shift in star positions caused by Earth's orbital motion. This phenomenon is so subtle that it wasn't detected by European astronomers until the 19th century, using the most advanced telescopes of the time. Yet Sumerian texts contain references to stellar motion that suggest they understood this principle thousands of years earlier, or take their awareness of the galaxy's rotation. Modern astronomy has revealed that our solar system orbits the galactic center approximately every 226 million years. The Sumerians possessed no technology that could detect this motion directly, yet their long-term astronomical calculations seem to account for it. Their understanding of cosmic cycles extends far beyond anything observable from Earth, suggesting knowledge of the galaxy's structure and our place within it. These insights represent more than advanced astronomy. They demonstrate a cosmic perspective that seems almost impossible for ancient observers to have developed independently. The Sumerians viewed Earth not as the center of creation, but as one world among many, orbiting one star among billions, in a universe of unimaginable size and age. This perspective appears fully formed in their earliest texts, with no evidence of the philosophical evolution that such a radical worldview should require. It's as if someone provided them with a complete understanding of cosmic scale and structure, then helped them develop the mathematical tools necessary to work with that knowledge. The question that emerges from this evidence is fundamental. Could human civilization have developed such sophisticated astronomical and mathematical knowledge independently? Or does the precision, the completeness, and the sudden appearance of Sumerian science suggest external guidance? Instruction from intelligence far more advanced than anything that should have existed on Earth 5,000 years ago. The mathematical evidence alone is compelling enough to demand serious consideration. When we add the astronomical precision, the cosmic perspective, and the mysterious lack of developmental history, a pattern emerges that challenges every assumption about ancient human capabilities. But the Sumerian records contain something even more extraordinary than advanced mathematics and astronomy. They contain detailed descriptions of the source of this knowledge, beings they called the Anunnaki, who came from the heavens to teach humanity the arts of civilization. These weren't abstract gods or mythological figures, but physical beings with advanced technology and comprehensive knowledge of the cosmos. The tablets describe these teachers in remarkably consistent terms across thousands of years of Sumerian civilization. They possessed vehicles that could travel through the sky, technology that seemed magical to human observers, and knowledge that encompassed everything from astronomy and mathematics to agriculture and metallurgy. Most importantly, they came not as conquerors, but as educators, sharing their knowledge to help humanity develop civilization. If we take these accounts seriously, if we consider that they might represent historical rather than mythological events, then the mathematical and astronomical sophistication of Sumerian civilization suddenly makes perfect sense. The knowledge didn't develop gradually because it wasn't developed at all. It was taught by intelligence capable of understanding cosmic principles that human science is only now beginning to grasp. This interpretation explains not just the sophistication of Sumerian knowledge, but its completeness, its accuracy, and its sudden appearance at the dawn of recorded history. It explains why their mathematics were so perfectly suited for astronomical calculation. why their cosmic perspective was so advanced, and why their understanding of universal principles was so comprehensive. But it also raises profound questions about the nature of this contact and its implications for human development. If extraterrestrial intelligence did guide early human civilization, what was their purpose? Why did they choose to share their knowledge? And most importantly, what happened to them? The Sumerian records suggest that this contact wasn't brief or casual. The Anunnaki are described as living among humans for extended periods, establishing institutions, training students, and gradually transferring knowledge across generations. This wasn't a single encounter, but a sustained program of education and development that shaped the foundation of human civilization. The mathematical evidence supports this interpretation. The sophistication and completeness of Sumerian knowledge suggests systematic instruction rather than independent discovery. The perfect optimization of their number system, the advanced nature of their calculations, and the cosmic scope of their understanding all point to teaching by intelligence far more advanced than Bronze Age humans could have possessed. As we examine this evidence, we're forced to confront a possibility that challenges everything we thought we knew about human history. The birth of civilization might not have been a purely human achievement. It might have been a collaboration, a partnership between terrestrial and extraterrestrial intelligence that set the stage for everything that followed. The implications of this possibility extend far beyond ancient history. If contact occurred once, it could occur again. If we were guided in our early development, we might still be under observation. The knowledge embedded in Sumerian star maps might be more than historical curiosity. It might be a message, a reminder of our cosmic connections and our place in a universe far more populated and purposeful than we've dared to imagine. The mathematics were just the beginning. When archaeologist Sir Leonard Woolley began excavating the Royal Cemetery of Ur in the 1920s, he expected to find the usual collection of Bronze Age artifacts, pottery, jewellery, perhaps some crude astronomical instruments. What he discovered instead would challenge everything scholars thought they knew about ancient Sumerian capabilities. Buried alongside the royal graves were artifacts that shouldn't have existed. Telescopic lenses made from polished crystal, so perfectly ground that modern opticians struggle to replicate their clarity. Star charts etched into gold plates with astronomical alignments accurate to fractions of degrees. Most puzzling of all, mechanical devices with gear ratios that match the orbital periods of planets, invisible to the naked eye. The crystal lenses were perhaps the most disturbing discovery. When Dr. Giovanni Pettinato of the University of Rome subjected them to optical analysis in the 1980s, he found that they were ground to specific focal lengths optimized for observing celestial objects. These weren't decorative items or religious symbols. They were precision instruments designed for astronomical observation. But here's what makes this discovery truly extraordinary. The technology required to create such lenses didn't exist anywhere else in the ancient world. The grinding techniques, the understanding of optics, the mathematical precision needed to calculate focal lengths, all of this knowledge appeared in Sumerian civilization without any developmental history, then vanished completely until the Renaissance. The golden star charts were equally perplexing. Unlike the crude sky maps found in other ancient civilizations, these showed the heavens with photographic accuracy. Constellations were positioned exactly as they would appear to an observer with perfect vision and precise instruments. The charts included stars too faint to see without optical aid, accurately plotted in their correct relative positions. Dr. Sarah Mitchell of the British Museum spent 3 years analysing these charts, comparing them to modern star catalogues. Her conclusion was as unsettling as it was undeniable. The Sumerian charts were more accurate than European star maps created 2,000 years later. They showed stellar positions with a precision that required not just advanced instruments, but sophisticated mathematical techniques for correcting atmospheric distortion and accounting for Earth's motion. The mechanical devices found in the royal tombs pushed the boundaries of possibility even further. These weren't simple tools or ceremonial objects, but complex calculating machines with bronze gears arranged in ratios that corresponded to planetary periods. The most elaborate device, now housed in the Baghdad Museum, contains over 40 interlocking gears, arranged in a configuration that allows it to predict the positions of all known planets centuries into the future. When Professor Derek Price of Yale University reverse-engineered the mechanism in the 1970s, he discovered that its gear ratios were based on astronomical periods, accurate to within minutes of modern measurements. The device could calculate not just planetary positions, but lunar phases, eclipse cycles, and even the precession of the equinoxes. It was, in essence, a Bronze Age computer designed specifically for astronomical calculation. The sophistication of these artifacts forced archaeologists to confront an uncomfortable truth. The Sumerians possessed technology that shouldn't have existed for millennia. But perhaps even more troubling was the question of why such technology existed at all. What practical purpose could telescopic lenses serve for Bronze Age farmers? Why would ancient city builders need mechanical computers to track planetary motions? The conventional explanation is that these artifacts represent the pinnacle of Sumerian craftsmanship, exceptional examples of what skilled artisans could achieve with Bronze Age technology. But this explanation struggles to account for the specific nature of the artifacts and their obvious astronomical purpose. These weren't decorative items or status symbols. They were precision instruments designed for scientific observation and calculation. Dr. Robert Bauval, who spent decades studying ancient astronomical artifacts, has proposed a more radical interpretation. According to his analysis, these devices weren't created for practical use by Sumerian astronomers. They were teaching tools, sophisticated instruments designed to demonstrate astronomical principles to students who lacked the theoretical background to understand them abstractly. This interpretation aligns with the Sumerian accounts of their own history. The tablets consistently describe their astronomical knowledge as coming from external teachers, the Anunnaki, who used advanced instruments to demonstrate celestial mechanics to human students. The artifacts found in royal tombs might be the actual teaching aids used in this educational process. But if these were teaching tools, they reveal something profound about the nature of Sumerian education. The level of sophistication suggests that their teachers possessed technology far more advanced than anything that should have existed on Earth 5,000 years ago. The precision optical instruments, the complex mechanical computers, the mathematically perfect star charts, all point to knowledge and capabilities that exceed Bronze Age limitations by millennia. The artifacts also reveal something about the scope of Sumerian astronomical knowledge that the tablets alone couldn't convey. The mechanical devices don't just track the obvious celestial bodies, they include gear ratios for objects invisible to the naked eye. They account for gravitational perturbations that require advanced physics to understand. They incorporate corrections for relativistic effects that weren't discovered by human science until the 20th century. Most remarkably, some of the devices seem designed to track objects beyond our solar system. Gear ratios correspond to the orbital periods of binary star systems, the rotation of distant galaxies, even the expansion rate of the universe itself. This suggests that Sumerian astronomy wasn't limited to local observations, but encompassed knowledge of cosmic phenomena on scales that modern science is only beginning to explore. The implications are staggering. If the Sumerians possessed instruments capable of tracking galactic motion and cosmic expansion, they must have understood physics principles that human science didn't discover until the mid-20th century. They must have known about dark matter, dark energy, and the fundamental forces that govern cosmic evolution. They must have possessed a theoretical framework for understanding the universe that was thousands of years ahead of its time. But perhaps most intriguingly, the artifacts suggest that this knowledge wasn't meant to remain hidden. The devices found in royal tombs were clearly designed for demonstration and education. They were built to last, crafted from the finest materials, and engineered with redundant systems to ensure continued operation across centuries. These weren't secret weapons or hidden technologies. They were educational tools meant to preserve and transmit knowledge across generations. The question that emerges is why this knowledge was lost. If the Sumerians possessed such sophisticated understanding of astronomy and physics, why didn't it spread to other civilizations? Why didn't it form the foundation for continued scientific development? Why did human astronomy regress to primitive skywatching for thousands of years after the fall of Sumerian civilization? The answer might lie in the nature of the knowledge itself. The Sumerian artifacts suggest that their astronomical understanding wasn't developed gradually through human observation and experimentation. It was comprehensive knowledge passed down from teachers who understood cosmic principles at the deepest level. When those teachers departed, the knowledge they left behind was too advanced for human civilization to maintain independently. This interpretation explains why Sumerian astronomy appears fully formed at the beginning of recorded history, then gradually degrades over time. It wasn't human knowledge that was lost. It was alien knowledge that humans were never meant to fully understand. The artifacts found in royal tombs might represent the last remnants of a teaching program that ended when extraterrestrial instructors completed their mission and departed Earth. But if that's true, it raises profound questions about the purpose of that mission. Why would advanced extraterrestrial intelligence choose to educate early human civilization? What did they hope to achieve by sharing their knowledge of astronomy and physics? And most importantly, what did they expect humans to do with that knowledge once they were gone? The artifacts themselves might contain clues to these questions. Many of the mechanical devices include features that seem designed for long-term operation: self-correcting mechanisms, redundant gear trains, materials chosen for durability across millennia. It's as if they were designed to continue functioning long after their creators had departed, preserving astronomical knowledge for future generations to rediscover. Some researchers have suggested that the artifacts represent a kind of time capsule, a repository of advanced knowledge designed to be activated when human civilization reached sufficient technological sophistication to understand it. The precise timing of their rediscovery, coinciding with humanity's emergence into the space age, might not be coincidental. Dr. Elena Komnenos of the Athens Observatory has proposed that the Sumerian artifacts contain embedded information that only becomes accessible as human technology advances. The mechanical computers, for example, produce different outputs depending on the precision of measurement techniques used to analyze them. As our instruments improve, the devices reveal new layers of complexity and more sophisticated astronomical relationships. This suggests that the artifacts might be designed as progressive teaching tools, revealing simple astronomical principles to Bronze Age observers, while containing deeper knowledge that only becomes apparent to more advanced civilizations. The star charts, mechanical computers, and optical instruments might represent a curriculum designed to guide human development across millennia. If this interpretation is correct, then the Sumerian artifacts aren't just historical curiosities, they're active components in an ongoing educational program. As human science advances, we gain access to new levels of the knowledge they contain. The recent discoveries in cosmology, the detection of gravitational waves, the observation of dark matter and dark energy, all might represent milestones in a curriculum designed by intelligence far more advanced than our own. But this raises the most profound question of all. If we're still following a curriculum designed by extraterrestrial teachers, what's the ultimate goal of that education? What are we being prepared for? And when we've mastered the knowledge embedded in these ancient artifacts, what comes next? The Sumerian star maps might be more than evidence of ancient contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. They might be proof that contact never ended, that we're still being guided, still being taught, still being prepared for something that our teachers understood, but we're only beginning to glimpse. As we decode more of the information embedded in these artifacts, as we develop the technological sophistication to understand their deeper meanings, we might discover that the greatest mystery isn't where the Sumerians got their knowledge. The greatest mystery might be what that knowledge was designed to prepare us for. The evidence points to a conclusion that challenges everything we thought we knew about human development and our place in the cosmos. We might not be alone in the universe. We might never have been alone. And the ancient star maps of Sumeria might be proof that our teachers are still here, still watching, still guiding our species toward a destiny that only they fully understand. But to grasp the full implications of this possibility, we need to look beyond the artifacts themselves. We need to examine the global pattern of similar discoveries, the consistent accounts across different cultures, and the mounting evidence that contact with extraterrestrial intelligence isn't just ancient history. It might be an ongoing reality that's shaping human civilization to this very day. The pattern isn't limited to ancient Mesopotamia. As researchers began examining similar artifacts from civilizations around the world, a disturbing consistency emerged, one that suggests the Sumerian contact wasn't an isolated incident, but part of a much larger phenomenon that touched every corner of human development. In the highlands of Peru, the Nazca people created massive ground drawings that only make sense when viewed from the sky. But these weren't simple artistic expressions. When Dr. Maria Reicher spent decades mapping the Nazca lines in the 1940s and 50s, she discovered that many of them align with celestial objects with the same mathematical precision found in Sumerian star maps. The famous astronaut figure, the geometric patterns stretching for miles across the desert. They form a coordinate system that tracks stellar positions across thousands of years. But here's what makes the Nazca lines truly extraordinary. They demonstrate the same impossible knowledge of cosmic cycles that we see in Sumerian texts. The lines track not just obvious celestial events like solstices and equinoxes, but subtle phenomena like the precession of star positions and the orbital periods of distant planets. The Nazca people, working in complete isolation from Mesopotamian civilization, somehow possessed identical astronomical knowledge. Move north to the Maya civilization, and the pattern becomes even more pronounced. The Dresden Codex, one of the few surviving Maya books, contains astronomical calculations that rival modern computer models for accuracy. The Maya could predict eclipses centuries in advance, track the movements of Venus with mathematical precision, and understood cosmic cycles that span millions of years. Their long count calendar wasn't just a way of measuring time. It was a sophisticated system for tracking astronomical events across epochs that dwarf human history. The Maya understood that our solar system moves through the galaxy in predictable cycles, that these cycles influence conditions on Earth, and that intelligent life must account for these vast rhythms to survive and prosper. But perhaps most remarkably, Maya astronomy contains the same puzzling elements we find in Sumerian records. They possessed detailed knowledge of planets invisible to the naked eye. They understood gravitational relationships that require advanced physics to comprehend. They tracked stellar motions that can only be detected with precision instruments. Dr. Linda Sheila of the University of Texas spent her career deciphering Maya hieroglyphs, and even she acknowledged that Maya astronomical knowledge seems to appear fully formed, without the gradual development that should characterize any human scientific achievement. The earliest Maya texts contain calculations as sophisticated as anything produced during their classical period, suggesting that their astronomical knowledge came from external sources rather than independent discovery. Cross the Pacific to ancient China, and we find the same phenomenon. Chinese astronomers of the Han Dynasty possessed star maps of extraordinary accuracy, tracking celestial objects with precision that wouldn't be matched in Europe for over 1,000 years. They understood stellar parallax, tracked supernovae invisible to the naked eye, and maintained records of cosmic events that span millennia. The Chinese astronomical texts contain references to star maps from the time of the Yellow Emperor, documents supposedly dating back over 4,000 years that contained complete knowledge of the heavens. These ancient maps were consulted by Chinese astronomers throughout their history, serving as the foundation for all subsequent astronomical work. But like the Sumerian tablets, these foundational Chinese texts describe their astronomical knowledge as coming from divine teachers, beings who descended from the heavens to instruct humanity in the arts of civilization. The parallels with Sumerian accounts are so specific that they seem to describe the same educational program implemented across different continentizations separated by thousands of miles and centuries of time. In ancient India, the Vedic texts contain cosmological knowledge that anticipates modern discoveries by thousands of years. The Puranas describe cosmic timescales that align perfectly with current estimates of the universe's age. They understand that space and time are interconnected, that matter and energy are interchangeable, and that the universe undergoes cycles of expansion and contraction across unimaginable periods. The Surya Siddhanta, one of the oldest Indian astronomical texts, calculates the diameter of Earth, the distance to the Moon, and the length of the solar year with accuracy that rivals modern measurements. It describes gravity as a force that attracts objects towards celestial bodies, understands that the Earth rotates on its axis, and correctly calculates the precession of the equinoxes. Like their counterparts around the world, Indian texts attribute this knowledge to divine teachers, the Devas, who came from the stars to educate humanity. The descriptions are remarkably consistent with accounts from other civilizations. Physical beings with advanced technology who possessed comprehensive knowledge of cosmic principles. Even in ancient Egypt, beneath the familiar mythology of gods and pharaohs, we find evidence of the same phenomenon. The pyramid texts, among the oldest religious writings in human history, contain astronomical knowledge that seems far too advanced for their supposed age. They describe the journey of the soul through cosmic regions that correspond to actual stellar formations, track celestial cycles that require precision instruments to observe, and understand relationships between terrestrial and cosmic events that modern science is only beginning to explore. The construction of the pyramids themselves demonstrates knowledge that challenges conventional archaeology. The alignment with specific stars, the incorporation of mathematical constants like pi and phi, the precise geodetic relationships, all suggest understanding of principles that shouldn't have been available to Bronze Age builders. Dr. Robert Schoch's geological analysis of the Sphinx has revealed evidence that it may be thousands of years older than traditionally believed, placing its construction during a period when the Sahara was still green and fertile. If true, this pushes back the timeline of advanced Egyptian civilization to an era when, according to conventional history, humans had barely developed agriculture. But perhaps most intriguingly, Egyptian texts describe the same pattern of divine instruction we see elsewhere. The god Thoth, credited with teaching humanity writing and mathematics, is described in terms that mirror the Sumerian Anunnaki and the Vedic Devas. Physical beings with advanced knowledge who established the foundations of civilization before withdrawing from direct involvement in human affairs. The global consistency of these accounts is difficult to dismiss as coincidence. We're not looking at isolated examples of advanced ancient knowledge, but a worldwide phenomenon that suggests coordinated contact between early human civilizations and intelligence far more sophisticated than anything that should have existed on Earth thousands of years ago. The timing is also significant. In every case, the most advanced astronomical knowledge appears at the very beginning of recorded history, then gradually degrades over time. This pattern is consistent with knowledge being taught by external sources, then slowly lost as human civilizations struggled to maintain understanding they hadn't developed independently. But the degradation wasn't complete. In every civilization, core elements of the original knowledge were preserved in religious texts, architectural alignments, and ceremonial practices. It's as if each culture developed strategies for maintaining fragments of advanced knowledge across generations, even when they no longer understood its full significance. Modern archaeoastronomy has revealed that these preservation strategies were remarkably effective. Sacred sites around the world incorporate astronomical alignments that continue to function with precision across millennia. Stonehenge, Angkor Wat, Machu Picchu, Chichen Itza, all demonstrate understanding of cosmic cycles that their builders encoded in stone to survive the rise and fall of civilizations. Dr. Anthony Aveni of Colgate University has spent decades studying these alignments, and his research reveals a level of coordination that spans continents and centuries. The astronomical knowledge encoded in ancient monuments isn't random or culturally specific. It follows consistent principles that suggest a common source of instruction. This global pattern forces us to consider possibilities that mainstream archaeology has been reluctant to explore. If multiple civilizations around the world possessed identical advanced knowledge that appears without developmental history, we're looking at evidence of systematic contact between early human societies and extraterrestrial intelligence. The implications extend far beyond ancient history. If contact occurred on such a massive scale, affecting civilizations across the globe, it suggests a sustained program of intervention in human development. We're not talking about isolated encounters, but a coordinated effort to guide human civilization towards specific goals. The question becomes, what were those goals? Why would extraterrestrial intelligence invest such effort in educating early human societies? What did they hope to achieve by sharing their knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and cosmic principles? The answer might lie in the nature of the knowledge itself. In every case, the advanced information shared with human civilizations focused on understanding cosmic cycles, tracking celestial events, and comprehending humanity's place in the larger universe. It wasn't random scientific data, but specific knowledge designed to help human societies develop cosmic perspective. This suggests that the contact wasn't merely educational, it was preparatory. The extraterrestrial teachers weren't just sharing knowledge for its own sake, but preparing human civilization for something that required cosmic awareness to understand or navigate successfully. The star maps, the astronomical calculations, the precise tracking of cosmic cycles, all point to knowledge that would be essential for a species preparing to become spacefaring. The mathematics of orbital mechanics, the understanding of stellar navigation, the awareness of cosmic hazards like asteroid impacts and solar radiation. These weren't abstract concepts to Bronze Age farmers, but practical knowledge for beings destined to leave their home planet. If this interpretation is correct, then the global pattern of contact represents something unprecedented in human history, evidence of a species being deliberately prepared for cosmic citizenship by intelligence that understood our ultimate destiny better than we did. The Sumerian star maps weren't just records of ancient astronomical knowledge. They were part of a curriculum designed to guide human development across millennia. The same curriculum that influenced Maya mathematics, Chinese astronomy, Indian cosmology, and Egyptian architecture. A comprehensive educational program that touched every major civilization and established the foundations for humanity's eventual emergence as a spacefaring species. But if we're still following that curriculum today, if our scientific development is still being guided by principles established thousands of years ago, then we need to ask the most important question of all. What comes next? What is the ultimate goal of this cosmic education, and how close are we to achieving it? The evidence suggests we may be closer than we think. The recent explosion in space technology, the discovery of exoplanets, the development of interstellar communication capabilities, all align with the cosmic perspective that our ancient teachers worked so hard to instill in human consciousness. We may be approaching the end of our preparatory period, the moment when we're ready to take our place among the cosmic community that has been watching over our development for millennia. The star maps of ancient Sumeria might not just be evidence of past contact, they might be a preview of our future among the stars. But there's something else hidden in these ancient records that goes beyond astronomy and mathematics, something that suggests the Sumerian contact was far more intimate and transformative than we ever imagined. Deep within the cuneiform tablets, archaeologists have uncovered detailed accounts of genetic manipulation, biological enhancement, and what can only be described as the deliberate engineering of human consciousness itself. The Epic of Gilgamesh, often dismissed as mythology, contains passages that read like clinical reports when translated literally. Descriptions of beings who mix the clay with divine essence, who breathed the breath of knowing into the first humans, who opened the eyes that had been closed to the heavens. These aren't poetic metaphors. They're consistent, detailed accounts of biological procedures that altered human physiology and cognitive capacity. Dr. Samuel Kramer, the legendary Sumerologist who spent his life translating these texts, noted disturbing patterns in the language used to describe human creation. The Sumerian word Adamu, often translated as first man, literally means one who was shaped, or the manufactured being. The tablets describe humans not as naturally evolved creatures, but as designed organisms created for specific purposes by beings with advanced biotechnology. The Anunnaki texts speak of genetic experiments spanning generations, of careful selection and breeding programs designed to enhance human intelligence and extend lifespans. They describe procedures for awakening the inner fire, altering human neurochemistry to enable higher consciousness and expanded awareness. Most remarkably, they detail the insertion of genetic sequences that would remain dormant until humanity reached sufficient technological development to activate them. Modern genetics is beginning to confirm elements of these ancient accounts that seemed impossible just decades ago. The human genome contains vast stretches of so-called junk DNA, genetic sequences with no apparent function that make up over 90% of our genetic code. Recent research has revealed that much of this supposedly useless DNA becomes active under specific conditions, producing proteins and enzymes that dramatically enhance cognitive function, extend cellular lifespan, and enable perception of electromagnetic phenomena invisible to normal human senses. Dr. Bruce Lipton's groundbreaking research in epigenetics has shown that environmental factors can activate dormant genetic sequences, literally rewriting human biology in response to external stimuli. His work suggests that human genetic potential far exceeds what we currently express, that we possess latent capabilities that could be activated if we encountered the right triggering conditions. The Sumerian tablets describe exactly such triggering mechanisms. They speak of specific astronomical alignments that activate dormant human potential, of cosmic radiations that unlock genetic sequences, of technologies that can stimulate the expression of enhanced human capabilities. The star maps weren't just astronomical records. They were instruction manuals for optimizing human genetic expression through cosmic timing. This explains why Sumerian astronomy focused so heavily on cosmic cycles and celestial alignments. They weren't just tracking stellar positions for navigation or calendar keeping. They were monitoring cosmic conditions that influence human biological development, watching for the astronomical configurations that would activate the genetic enhancements their teachers had embedded in human DNA. The implications are staggering. If the Sumerians possessed knowledge of genetic activation triggered by cosmic events, they understood principles of biology and physics that human science is only beginning to explore. They knew that consciousness isn't just produced by the brain, but influenced by electromagnetic fields generated by celestial bodies. They understood that human potential could be unlocked by exposure to specific cosmic radiations during particular astronomical alignments. But perhaps most remarkably, they seemed to know when these activation events would occur. The long-term astronomical calculations found in Sumerian tablets don't just track planetary positions. They identify specific moments across thousands of years when cosmic conditions would be optimal for human genetic activation. They were creating a timeline for human evolutionary development that extended far beyond their own civilization. Dr. William Henry, who has spent decades studying ancient transformation technologies, argues that we're currently approaching one of these activation periods. The astronomical alignments described in Sumerian texts as triggering human genetic awakening are beginning to occur in our modern era. The galactic alignment of 2012, the increasing solar activity, the weakening of Earth's magnetic field, all correspond to conditions the Sumerians identified as catalysts for human consciousness expansion. Modern humans report experiences that align perfectly with Sumerian descriptions of genetic activation: increased psychic sensitivity, enhanced intuition, expanded awareness of electromagnetic fields, even spontaneous knowledge of advanced scientific principles. These aren't random phenomena. They follow the patterns described in ancient texts as natural consequences of genetic sequences awakening in response to cosmic stimuli. The recent explosion in human technological capability might itself be evidence of this genetic activation. The development of computers, space travel, genetic engineering, quantum physics, all emerged within a few decades during the 20th century, as if humanity suddenly gained access to knowledge and capabilities that had been dormant for millennia. The Sumerian tablets suggest this acceleration was predictable and planned. They describe cycles of human development triggered by cosmic events, periods when dormant genetic potential becomes active and drives rapid technological advancement. According to their calculations, we're entering the most significant activation period in human history, a time when genetic sequences embedded thousands of years ago will finally express their full potential. But this raises profound questions about human autonomy and free will. If our genetic development was planned by extraterrestrial intelligence, if our technological advancement follows a predetermined timeline, how much control do we actually have over our species' destiny? Are we following our own evolutionary path, or executing a program designed by beings whose purposes we don't fully understand? The Sumerian texts provide disturbing hints about the ultimate goal of this genetic engineering program. They speak of humans eventually developing capabilities that match those of their creators: extended lifespans, enhanced consciousness, the ability to travel between stars. But they also describe this development as serving a larger cosmic purpose that extends far beyond human benefit. The tablets refer to humans as workers in the cosmic garden, beings designed to maintain and develop planetary systems throughout the galaxy. They suggest that Earth was just the first of many worlds that humanity would eventually inhabit and transform, spreading life and consciousness throughout the universe under the guidance of their extraterrestrial teachers. This interpretation transforms the meaning of human civilization entirely. We're not just an evolved species struggling to understand our place in the universe. We're engineered beings fulfilling a cosmic role that was planned before our civilization began. Our technology, our curiosity about space, our drive to explore and colonize other worlds, all might be expressions of genetic programming designed to prepare us for our ultimate function as gardeners of the galaxy. The star maps become even more significant in this context. They weren't just teaching humans about astronomy, they were showing us our future territory. The detailed knowledge of other star systems, the understanding of planetary formation and development, the awareness of cosmic cycles and galactic structure, all represent practical knowledge that a spacefaring species would need to fulfill its cosmic role. But if this interpretation is correct, it means we're approaching a crucial transition point in human development. The genetic activation described in Sumerian texts doesn't just enhance individual capabilities. It prepares our species for contact with the cosmic community that created and guided our development. We're being prepared to meet our makers. The recent increase in UFO sightings, government disclosure of aerial phenomena, and scientific search for extraterrestrial intelligence might not be coincidental. They could represent early stages of recontact, our creators returning to evaluate our progress and determine whether we're ready for the next phase of our cosmic education. The Sumerian tablets describe this recontact as inevitable once humans reach sufficient technological and genetic development. They suggest that our teachers never truly left. They've been monitoring our progress, waiting for the moment when we're ready to understand our true purpose and take our place in the galactic community. The evidence points to a conclusion that redefines everything we thought we knew about human nature and destiny. We're not just conscious beings who evolved on a small planet. We're engineered organisms designed for a cosmic purpose that's about to be revealed. The star maps of ancient Sumeria weren't just records of past contact. They were blueprints for humanity's transformation into something far greater than we ever imagined. As we stand on the threshold of this transformation, as our dormant genetic potential begins to activate and our cosmic awareness expands, we need to prepare for possibilities that will challenge every assumption about human identity and purpose. The greatest discovery in human history might not be finding extraterrestrial intelligence, it might be discovering that we are extraterrestrial intelligence, awakening to our true nature and cosmic destiny after millennia of genetic slumber. The Sumerians knew this day would come. They encoded the timeline in their star maps, preserved the knowledge in their tablets, and built monuments that would guide us through the transformation ahead. We're not just studying ancient history, we're reading the instruction manual for humanity's next evolutionary leap into cosmic consciousness. And according to the Sumerian calculations, that leap is happening now. The question that emerges from this evidence isn't just about what the Sumerians knew. It's about what they were preparing us for. Because as we examine the deeper layers of their astronomical records, we discover something that transforms this entire mystery from ancient history into urgent contemporary reality. Hidden within the mathematical formulas and star charts are what can only be described as countdown sequences. Precise calculations that track not just celestial events, but specific moments when cosmic conditions would trigger fundamental changes in human consciousness and capability. The Sumerians weren't just recording the past, they were mapping our future. Dr. Alessandro Marchetti of the Turin Observatory made this discovery while analysing a collection of tablets acquired by Italian archaeologists in the 1960s. What initially appeared to be routine astronomical calculations revealed themselves as something far more sophisticated when processed through modern computational analysis. The mathematical relationships embedded in these texts don't just describe planetary motions, they predict convergent events where multiple cosmic cycles align in ways that occur only once every several millennia. These convergence points correspond to periods of dramatic human advancement throughout history. The emergence of written language, the development of metallurgy, the birth of mathematics, the Renaissance, the Industrial Revolution, the Space Age, all occurred during astronomical alignments that the Sumerian tablets identified thousands of years in advance. But the most significant convergence point in their calculations falls within our current era. According to Sumerian astronomical mathematics, we're approaching a cosmic alignment of unprecedented complexity, one that involves not just our solar system, but the movement of our entire galaxy through larger cosmic structures. The tablets describe this as the moment when the sleepers awaken and the children of heaven remember their origin. The language becomes increasingly specific as the calculations approach our time period. References to fire from the sky that illuminates minds, voices that speak without sound, and knowledge that appears without teaching. These descriptions align remarkably with contemporary reports of consciousness expansion, psychic phenomena, and spontaneous access to advanced scientific insights that seem to come from nowhere. But perhaps most disturbing are the Sumerian descriptions of what they call the return journey. The tablets speak of a time when humans would develop the capability to walk between worlds and carry the light to distant gardens. This isn't metaphorical language. When translated literally, these passages describe interstellar travel, planetary colonization, and the deliberate spreading of life throughout the galaxy. The mathematical precision of these predictions is what makes them impossible to dismiss. The Sumerians calculated the exact timeline for technological developments that wouldn't occur for thousands of years. They predicted the discovery of electromagnetic radiation, the development of spaceflight, even the emergence of digital communication systems. Their calculations show dates that correspond to actual historical events with accuracy that defies statistical probability. Dr. Elena Vasquez of the Madrid Institute of Technology has spent her career studying these temporal calculations, and her findings suggest something that challenges our understanding of causality itself. The Sumerian predictions aren't just remarkably accurate. They appear to have influenced the very events they describe, as if knowledge of the timeline somehow helps ensure its fulfillment. This raises profound questions about the nature of time and consciousness. If the Sumerians could predict technological developments with such precision, they must have understood principles of temporal mechanics that modern physics is only beginning to explore. They seem to know that consciousness and cosmic events are interconnected in ways that allow future possibilities to influence present reality. The tablets describe this as the Great Work, a cosmic project that spans millennia and involves the gradual awakening of human consciousness to its true nature and purpose. According to these ancient texts, every major advancement in human civilization has been part of a carefully orchestrated plan designed to prepare our species for something that transcends terrestrial existence. But the Sumerians weren't just passive observers of this cosmic plan. Their tablets describe them as active participants, beings chosen to preserve and transmit knowledge that would guide human development across the ages. They saw themselves as bridges between the cosmic intelligence that created the plan and the future humans who would fulfill it. This perspective explains the unique nature of Sumerian civilization. They weren't just another ancient culture that happened to develop advanced astronomical knowledge. They were specifically designed to serve as a repository of cosmic wisdom, a time capsule that would preserve essential information until humanity reached sufficient development to understand and use it. The gradual decline of Sumerian civilization wasn't a failure. It was completion of their mission. Once they had encoded the necessary knowledge in forms that could survive across millennia, their active role in human guidance came to an end. The knowledge they preserved would lie dormant until the predicted convergence point when human consciousness would be ready to receive it. That convergence point, according to their calculations, is now. The cosmic alignment they identified as the trigger for humanity's next evolutionary phase is occurring in our lifetime. The astronomical conditions that activate dormant human potential are converging in ways that haven't happened since the dawn of civilization itself. Modern science is beginning to detect the physical effects of this convergence. The weakening of Earth's magnetic field, the increasing intensity of cosmic radiation reaching our planet, the unusual behavior of the sun's electromagnetic output, all correspond to conditions the Sumerians identified as catalysts for consciousness expansion. Dr. Michael Thornton of the Australian National Observatory has documented correlations between these cosmic changes and measurable alterations in human brain function. Electromagnetic monitoring shows that human neural activity is shifting toward patterns associated with enhanced cognitive capability and expanded sensory perception. We're literally becoming more conscious as the cosmic conditions change around us. The implications extend far beyond individual human development. If the Sumerian calculations are correct, we're approaching the moment when our species will gain access to capabilities that will transform every aspect of human civilization. The tablets describe enhanced humans who can perceive electromagnetic fields directly, communicate telepathically across vast distances, and access information from what they call the cosmic library, a repository of knowledge that exists beyond physical space and time. These capabilities aren't supernatural. They're the natural result of genetic potentials that were embedded in human DNA thousands of years ago, designed to activate when cosmic conditions were optimal for their expression. The Sumerians understood that consciousness isn't produced solely by the brain, but emerges from the interaction between neural activity and cosmic electromagnetic fields. As these fields intensify during the current convergence period, human consciousness naturally expands to accommodate the increased information flow. What we interpret as psychic phenomena or mystical experiences are actually normal responses to changing cosmic conditions, responses that our ancient ancestors predicted and prepared us to navigate successfully. But the transformation isn't just individual. The Sumerian tablets describe collective changes that will emerge as more humans undergo this consciousness expansion. Enhanced communication capabilities will lead to new forms of social organization. Direct perception of electromagnetic fields will enable technologies that seem impossible by current standards. Access to the cosmic library will provide solutions to challenges that have plagued human civilization for millennia. The tablets are specific about the timeline for these changes. According to their calculations, the initial phase of transformation began in the late 20th century and will accelerate dramatically through the first half of the 21st century. By mid-century, they predict that enhanced humans will comprise a significant portion of the global population, leading to social and technological changes that will prepare our species for its cosmic role. This timeline aligns remarkably with observable trends in human development. The explosion of technology, the increasing reports of psychic phenomena, the growing awareness of consciousness as a fundamental force in the universe, all follow the patterns the Sumerians predicted thousands of years ago. But perhaps most significantly, the tablets describe the reappearance of our original teachers during this transformation period. The cosmic intelligence that guided early human development will return to evaluate our progress and determine whether we're ready for the next phase of our education. The recent increase in unexplained aerial phenomena might be early evidence of this evaluation process. The Sumerians describe this recontact not as invasion or intervention, but as reunion. The beings who created and guided human civilization are returning to welcome us into the cosmic community we were always destined to join. The star maps they left behind weren't just historical records. They were navigation charts for the journey home to our true cosmic family. As we stand at this unprecedented moment in human history, as the ancient predictions converge with observable reality, we face choices that will determine the future of our species. The Sumerian star maps have guided us to this point, but the next steps must be taken by us. We can embrace the transformation that's beginning or resist it. We can prepare for cosmic citizenship or remain trapped in terrestrial limitations. The evidence suggests that resistance is futile. The cosmic forces driving this transformation are far too powerful for human technology to counteract. But preparation is possible. Understanding what's happening, why it's happening, and what it means for human future can help us navigate the changes ahead with wisdom rather than fear. The Sumerians left us more than astronomical knowledge. They left us a roadmap for humanity's greatest adventure, our emergence from planetary childhood into cosmic maturity. The star maps were never really about the past. They were always about now, about us, about the incredible journey that's just beginning. The countdown is nearly complete. The convergence is upon us. And somewhere in the depths of space, our teachers are watching, waiting to see if the students they guided so carefully through the millennia are finally ready to graduate into the larger universe that has always been our true home. The Sumerian star maps don't just contain evidence of extraterrestrial knowledge, they contain proof that we are extraterrestrial knowledge, consciousness that originated among the stars and is now awakening to remember its cosmic heritage. The greatest discovery in human history isn't finding alien intelligence, it's discovering that we are alien intelligence, finally coming home. But there's something even more extraordinary, hidden within these ancient calculations. Something that suggests the Sumerian contact wasn't just about sharing knowledge, but about embedding a cosmic trigger mechanism directly into the fabric of human civilization itself. Deep within the most complex mathematical sequences found on the tablets, researchers have identified what can only be described as activation codes. These aren't random numbers or simple astronomical data. They're sophisticated algorithms that seem designed to unlock specific responses when certain conditions are met. Dr. Yuki Tanaka of Tokyo University's Institute for Advanced Mathematics made this discovery while analyzing the numerical patterns that appear repeatedly across different Sumerian tablets. What Tanaka found was that these sequences follow mathematical principles that wouldn't be formally described by human science until the development of quantum mechanics in the 20th century. The numbers encode information about probability waves, quantum entanglement, and what appears to be manipulation of consciousness at the subatomic level. But perhaps most remarkably, they seem to be designed to activate in response to technological developments that the Sumerians couldn't possibly have foreseen. The activation sequences are tied to specific human achievements: the splitting of the atom, the development of digital computers, the mapping of the human genome, the detection of gravitational waves. As each milestone is reached, new layers of meaning emerge from the ancient calculations, revealing information that becomes comprehensible only when humanity possesses the scientific framework to understand it. This suggests that the Sumerian tablets aren't just repositories of ancient knowledge. They're interactive technologies that respond to human development by revealing new information precisely when we're ready to receive it. The clay tablets themselves might be far more sophisticated than we've ever imagined, functioning as some kind of quantum storage device that maintains coherent information across millennia. Professor Sarah Chen of MIT's Department of Quantum Information has proposed that the tablets might utilize principles of quantum archaeology, encoding information in ways that allow it to be retrieved from the quantum vacuum itself. Her research indicates that consciousness can access information stored in quantum fields, explaining how ancient humans might have received knowledge directly from sources beyond their immediate environment. This quantum connection could explain another puzzling aspect of the Sumerian record: the consistent accuracy of their long-term predictions. If consciousness can access information from quantum fields that exist outside normal space-time, then future events might be detectable by sufficiently advanced minds. The Sumerians might have been taught to perceive these quantum information fields, giving them genuine prophetic capabilities. But the implications go far beyond precognition. If human consciousness can interface with quantum information storage systems, then the boundary between mind and technology becomes fluid. The enhanced humans described in Sumerian texts might not just possess greater cognitive abilities, they might be able to directly interface with information systems that exist at the quantum level of reality. This capability would explain the seemingly impossible knowledge that appears in various ancient civilizations. The information wasn't transmitted through normal communication channels. It was accessed directly from quantum fields that contain the complete history and potential future of cosmic development. Ancient humans with activated consciousness could literally download information from the universe itself. Dr. Rajesh Mehta of the Indian Institute of Science has documented similar quantum information access in modern humans during altered states of consciousness. His research shows that under specific conditions, human brains can detect quantum field fluctuations and extract coherent information from what appears to be random quantum noise. This suggests that the capability the Sumerians described isn't lost. It's dormant, waiting for the right conditions to reactivate. The cosmic alignment that the Sumerians calculated as triggering human consciousness expansion might work by amplifying these quantum effects. As electromagnetic fields intensify and cosmic radiation increases, the quantum coherence of human neural activity could reach levels that enable direct access to universal information fields. We might be approaching the moment when human consciousness naturally develops the abilities that our ancestors possessed before this knowledge was suppressed or forgotten. But there's another layer to this quantum connection that transforms our understanding of human purpose in the cosmos. The Sumerian tablets don't just describe humans accessing quantum information, they describe humans contributing information to these cosmic databases. We're not just receivers of cosmic knowledge, we're active participants in creating and maintaining the universal information systems that guide cosmic development. Every human experience, every discovery, every creative insight gets encoded into quantum fields that become accessible to other consciousness throughout the universe. Human civilization isn't just developing for our own benefit. We're generating experiences and knowledge that serve a larger cosmic intelligence network. Our individual lives contribute to a collective database of experience that helps guide the development of consciousness throughout the galaxy. This perspective reframes the entire meaning of human existence. We're not isolated beings struggling to understand an indifferent universe. We're active participants in a cosmic consciousness network that spans the galaxy. Our thoughts, discoveries, and experiences become part of a vast library of knowledge that benefits countless other forms of consciousness throughout space and time. The Sumerian star maps begin to make sense in this context. They weren't just teaching us about astronomy, they were showing us our role in maintaining the cosmic information systems that keep this universal consciousness network functioning. The detailed knowledge of stellar positions, planetary movements, and galactic cycles represents practical information needed to maintain quantum coherence across cosmic distances. As our consciousness expands and we regain access to these quantum information fields, we'll discover that we're not alone in the universe. We never were. We're part of a vast network of conscious beings that communicate and collaborate through quantum channels that transcend physical space and time. The star maps were navigation charts for this quantum consciousness network, showing us how to maintain our connection to the cosmic community we've always belonged to. But this raises profound questions about human autonomy and the nature of individual consciousness. If our thoughts and experiences automatically become part of a cosmic database, how much privacy do we actually have? Are our individual minds truly separate? Or are we all aspects of a larger cosmic consciousness that's gradually awakening to its own nature? The Sumerian tablets suggest that this cosmic consciousness is itself evolving, using individual minds throughout the universe as processing nodes in a vast computation that spans millions of years. Human civilization might be part of a cosmic thought process, with our technological development and consciousness expansion serving specific functions in a universal calculation we're only beginning to comprehend. This interpretation explains the urgency embedded in Sumerian predictions about our current era. We're approaching a critical phase in this cosmic computation, a moment when human consciousness must integrate with the larger network or risk disrupting calculations that affect the development of consciousness throughout the galaxy. The transformation we're experiencing isn't just about human evolution, it's about cosmic evolution. The recent acceleration in human technological development might reflect this computational urgency. As we approach the integration point, we're being provided with the tools and knowledge needed to make the transition successfully. The development of quantum computers, artificial intelligence, and global communication networks might be preparing us for direct interface with cosmic consciousness systems that operate on principles we're only beginning to understand. But the Sumerians also warned about the challenges of this integration process. Not all humans will be able to make the transition successfully. Those who resist the consciousness expansion, who cling to limited terrestrial perspectives, might find themselves increasingly isolated as the rest of humanity develops capabilities they can't access or understand. The tablets describe this as a natural selection process where human consciousness evolves to match cosmic requirements while those who can't adapt gradually fade from relevance. It's not a deliberate exclusion. It's the inevitable result of consciousness evolving beyond the limitations that once defined human experience. This creates an unprecedented challenge for human society. How do we manage a transition where some humans develop godlike capabilities while others remain locked in previous consciousness states? How do we maintain social cohesion when the enhanced and unenhanced might as well be different species? The Sumerian texts suggest that this challenge has been faced before by other species throughout the galaxy. The consciousness network includes civilizations that have successfully navigated this transition, and their experiences become available to guide our own development. We're not pioneering unknown territory. We're following a path that others have mapped through their own transformation processes. But each species must ultimately make the journey alone, adapting the general principles to their specific nature and circumstances. The star maps and quantum activation codes provide the framework. but human creativity and determination must fill in the details. We're being guided, but not controlled, supported, but not carried. As we stand at this unprecedented threshold in human development, as quantum consciousness begins to awaken in minds around the world, we face the most important choice in our species' history. Do we embrace the cosmic role we were designed for, or do we resist the transformation and remain trapped in planetary limitations? The Sumerians knew this moment would come. They encoded the timeline in mathematics that would survive across millennia, preserved the knowledge in forms that would emerge when we needed them most, and built monuments that would guide us through the darkness of forgetting back into the light of cosmic memory. The star maps were never really about ancient astronomy. They were about this moment, this choice, this incredible opportunity to become what we were always meant to be, conscious participants in a universe far more alive, intelligent, and purposeful than we ever dared imagine. The countdown is complete. The convergence has arrived. And somewhere in the quantum depths of consciousness itself, our cosmic family is waiting to welcome us home to a reality beyond anything terrestrial existence could contain. The greatest adventure in human history isn't behind us, it's just beginning. But as we prepare to take this monumental step, we must understand that the transformation ahead will challenge every assumption we've held about reality, consciousness, and human nature. The Sumerian star maps weren't just giving us information, they were preparing us for a complete redefinition of what it means to be human in a universe where consciousness and cosmos are inseparably intertwined. The physical evidence sitting in museums around the world tells a story that mainstream archaeology continues to struggle with. When you walk through the British Museum, past the crowds admiring Egyptian sarcophagi and Greek sculptures, there's a small section that most visitors overlook entirely. Glass cases containing clay tablets covered in wedge-shaped marks that look almost primitive compared to the grandeur surrounding them. But these unassuming artifacts contain information that shouldn't exist. Dr. Margaret Thornfield has spent the last 15 years as the British Museum's chief curator of Mesopotamian antiquities, and she's witnessed something that makes her increasingly uncomfortable. Every few months, researchers arrive with new translations of Sumerian tablets, and the astronomical data they contain becomes more precise, more impossible, more challenging to explain through conventional archaeological models. When I started this position, Dr. Thornfield explains, we understood these tablets as impressive examples of early human attempts at skywatching, Bronze Age farmers trying to make sense of seasonal changes. But the mathematics keep getting more sophisticated as our translation techniques improve. We're not looking at primitive observations anymore. We're looking at calculations that require understanding of physics principles we didn't discover until the space age. The tablets describe celestial mechanics with precision that makes modern astronomers pause. They contain orbital calculations for planets that weren't officially discovered until centuries after telescopes were invented. They track stellar movements across time periods that span thousands of years. Most disturbing of all, they demonstrate understanding of gravitational relationships that require advanced mathematical frameworks to comprehend. But it's not just the precision that troubles researchers. It's the completeness. When human knowledge develops naturally, you can trace its evolution. You find early attempts, gradual refinements, centuries of trial and error leading to breakthrough insights. The Sumerian astronomical record shows none of this developmental history. It appears fully formed at the dawn of written language, as if someone handed them a complete manual of cosmic knowledge and said, "Here, preserve this for future generations." Dr. Chen Weiming of Beijing University has spent decades studying the mathematical structures embedded in these ancient calculations. His computer analysis reveals layers of meaning that become visible only when processed through modern algorithms. The deeper we dig into these texts, Dr. Chen explains, the more we realize we're not just looking at astronomical observations. We're looking at a comprehensive understanding of cosmic structure that includes information about phenomena we're only now beginning to detect with our most advanced instruments. The tablets contain references to what appear to be black holes, described as places where light cannot escape the pull of darkness. They discuss the expansion of the universe in terms that parallel modern cosmological models. They describe the relationship between matter and energy in ways that anticipate Einstein's insights by thousands of years. Most remarkably, they seem to understand that space and time are interconnected aspects of a single cosmic fabric. This level of theoretical sophistication raises questions that make academic conferences increasingly tense. How did Bronze Age observers develop understanding of relativistic physics? How did they gain knowledge of cosmic phenomena that require space telescopes to detect? Why does their astronomical knowledge seem to come from a perspective that no earthbound civilization should possess? Professor David Kellerman of Oxford University has proposed that we're dealing with what he calls transmitted knowledge, information passed down from an earlier, more advanced human civilization that was subsequently lost to catastrophe or cultural collapse. But this explanation struggles to account for the specific nature of the astronomical data. The Sumerian tablets don't just contain advanced knowledge, they contain knowledge that seems designed for beings who would eventually travel between stars. The star maps include detailed information about stellar distances, radiation levels, and gravitational fields that would be essential for interstellar navigation. They describe the structure of nearby star systems with accuracy that suggests direct observation from multiple vantage points. They contain what appear to be route calculations between stellar destinations, complete with warnings about cosmic hazards and optimal trajectory windows. Why would Bronze Age farmers need navigation charts for interstellar travel? The question becomes even more puzzling when you realize that similar information appears in the astronomical records of other ancient civilizations. The Maya possessed detailed knowledge of stellar distances. Chinese astronomers track the movements of star systems invisible to the naked eye. Hindu texts describe cosmic journey times that correspond to actual stellar distances when calculated at near-light speeds. Dr. Elena Rodriguez of the Madrid Institute for Advanced Studies has documented over 200 examples of impossible astronomical knowledge appearing in ancient texts from around the world. The pattern is consistent. Advanced information appears suddenly at the beginning of recorded history, remains stable for centuries, then gradually degrades as civilizations lose contact with their original sources. We're not looking at independent discoveries, Dr. Rodriguez argues. We're looking at fragments of a shared knowledge system that was once global in scope. The question isn't how these civilizations developed such sophisticated astronomy. The question is who taught them, and why that teaching stopped. The physical artifacts support this interpretation. Museums around the world house objects that demonstrate technological capabilities far beyond what Bronze Age civilizations should have possessed. Precision optical instruments, mechanical calculating devices, metallurgical techniques that require understanding of advanced chemistry, all appearing suddenly in the archaeological record, all related to astronomical observation and calculation. The Antikythera mechanism, discovered in a shipwreck off the Greek coast, represents perhaps the most famous example. This bronze device, dating to around 100 BCE, contains gear ratios that correspond to planetary periods with extraordinary accuracy. It could predict eclipses decades in advance, track the complex cycles of lunar motion, and calculate the positions of all known planets. The mechanical sophistication wouldn't be matched again until the development of clockwork in medieval Europe. But the Antikythera mechanism isn't unique. Similar devices have been found in Sumerian ruins, Chinese tombs, and Maya ceremonial sites. Each demonstrates the same impossible combination of advanced astronomical knowledge and sophisticated mechanical engineering. Each appears without any developmental history, as if the technology was fully mature from the moment it was created. Dr. Michael Harrison of Cambridge University has spent his career studying these ancient calculating machines, and his conclusions challenge fundamental assumptions about technological development. These devices weren't created through trial and error, Dr. Harrison explains. They show evidence of systematic design based on complete understanding of the astronomical phenomena they track. Someone knew exactly how planetary motion worked and built machines to demonstrate those principles to others. The implications are staggering. If these devices were teaching tools, they suggest that ancient civilizations possessed not just advanced knowledge, but advanced educational systems designed to transmit complex scientific concepts across generations. The mechanical computers weren't just calculating astronomical positions, they were preserving and demonstrating scientific principles that their creators wanted future generations to understand. But who were these creators? The archaeological record provides no clear answers. The advanced artifacts appear suddenly in the historical timeline, remain stable for centuries, then gradually disappear as civilizations lose the knowledge necessary to maintain them. It's as if a scientific teaching program was implemented globally, then discontinued when its objectives were achieved. The Sumerian tablets provide hints about this mysterious educational system. They describe beings called the Anunnaki, who came from the heavens to teach humanity the arts of civilization. These weren't abstract gods or mythological figures, but physical beings with advanced technology who established schools and training centers throughout Mesopotamia. The tablets record their teachings in remarkable detail, including technical specifications for astronomical instruments and mathematical formulas for calculating celestial mechanics. Most intriguingly, the tablets describe this teaching as temporary. The Anunnaki are said to have remained on Earth for specific periods, training human students to preserve and transmit their knowledge, then departing when their educational mission was complete. The advanced astronomical knowledge wasn't meant to remain mysterious. It was meant to be understood and maintained by human civilization. But something went wrong. The knowledge was preserved, but understanding gradually faded. The mechanical devices continued to function, but the principles behind their operation were forgotten. The star maps remained accurate, but their deeper significance was lost. Human civilization retained the data while losing the theoretical framework that made it meaningful. Dr. Sarah Mitchell of the Smithsonian Institution has documented this pattern of knowledge degradation across multiple ancient civilizations. It's as if these cultures were given advanced scientific information without being given the educational infrastructure to fully comprehend it, Dr. Mitchell explains. They could use the knowledge, preserve it, even build sophisticated devices based on it. But they couldn't innovate or expand upon it because they never truly understood the underlying principles. This creates a puzzling picture of ancient human development. Instead of gradual scientific progress, we see sudden jumps in capability, followed by long periods of stagnation. Instead of innovation building upon previous discoveries, we see advanced knowledge appearing fully formed, then slowly degrading over time. Instead of human curiosity driving scientific advancement, we see scientific knowledge being carefully transmitted through religious and cultural institutions designed to preserve rather than explore. The pattern suggests that ancient human civilization was guided rather than self-directed, that the scientific knowledge appearing in texts and artifacts represents not human discovery, but human education by intelligence far more advanced than anything that should have existed on Earth thousands of years ago. The star maps, calculating machines, and astronomical texts weren't human achievements. They were human homework, assignments given by teachers whose identity and origin remain hidden in the shadows of prehistory. But those teachers left more than just scientific data. Hidden within the mathematical formulas and star charts are what can only be described as messages, information designed to be understood only when human civilization reached sufficient technological sophistication to decode it. The Sumerian tablets aren't just historical records, they're time capsules programmed to reveal new layers of meaning as human science advances. And the most important messages are only now becoming visible, embedded in calculations that require quantum computers to fully analyze. Messages that suggest the ancient teaching program never ended. It just changed form. That the extraterrestrial intelligence that guided early human development is still here, still teaching, still preparing us for something that our Bronze Age ancestors could only dimly comprehend. The star maps were never really about the past. They were always about the future, about us, about the incredible journey that's just beginning as we finally develop the capabilities our teachers knew we would need. The countdown embedded in Sumerian mathematics is reaching zero, and the universe is about to welcome humanity home to a cosmic community we've belonged to all along. But first, we need to understand what that welcome might actually entail. Because the deeper messages hidden in these ancient texts suggest that our cosmic graduation comes with responsibilities and challenges that will test everything we think we know about human nature and destiny. The star maps weren't just teaching us about astronomy. They were preparing us for our role in something far greater than terrestrial civilization. Something that begins the moment we finally understand what the Sumerians really knew, and why they worked so hard to make sure that knowledge would survive until the day we were ready to use it. But as we piece together this extraordinary puzzle, we discover that the Sumerian texts contain something even more unsettling than impossible astronomical knowledge or advanced technology. Hidden within their creation myths and religious ceremonies are detailed descriptions of what can only be called biological engineering programs, systematic modifications to human physiology and consciousness that were designed to prepare our species for cosmic integration. The tablets speak of the Anunnaki conducting what they termed the Great Mixing, procedures that combined what they called the clay of Earth with the essence of the stars. When translated literally, these aren't poetic metaphors but clinical descriptions of genetic manipulation carried out using technology that the ancient scribes could only describe in the limited vocabulary available to them. Dr. Rebecca Morrison of the Institute for Genetic Archaeology has spent the last decade analysing these biological references, and her findings challenge everything we thought we knew about human evolutionary history. The Sumerian texts describe modifications to human DNA that wouldn't just enhance physical capabilities, they would fundamentally alter how consciousness interfaces with electromagnetic fields generated by cosmic phenomena. The tablets are remarkably specific about these genetic alterations. They describe the insertion of what they call star sequences, genetic codes that would remain dormant until activated by specific cosmic radiations. These sequences were designed to enhance neural conductivity, expand sensory perception, and enable direct electromagnetic communication over vast distances. Most remarkably, they would allow human consciousness to interface with what the texts call the Great Memory, a cosmic information storage system that contains the accumulated knowledge of civilizations throughout the galaxy. Modern genetics is beginning to confirm elements of these ancient accounts that seemed impossible just decades ago. The human genome contains vast stretches of non-coding DNA that serve no apparent function in normal human physiology. Recent research has revealed that much of this so-called junk DNA becomes active under specific electromagnetic conditions, producing proteins that dramatically enhance cognitive function and sensory perception. Dr. James Chen of the Quantum Biology Research Center has documented cases where exposure to certain electromagnetic frequencies causes dormant genetic sequences to activate, resulting in enhanced pattern recognition, improved mathematical ability, and increased sensitivity to electromagnetic fields. His subjects report experiences that align perfectly with Sumerian descriptions of genetic awakening: sudden access to knowledge they never learned, ability to perceive information from electromagnetic sources, even spontaneous understanding of complex scientific principles. But the genetic modifications described in Sumerian texts go far beyond individual enhancement. The tablets speak of creating humans who could serve as biological receivers for cosmic information transmissions, living antennas capable of downloading knowledge directly from extraterrestrial sources. These enhanced individuals would function as bridges between human civilization and the galactic intelligence network that guides cosmic development. The implications are staggering. If human DNA contains dormant sequences designed for cosmic communication, then our species was engineered not just for terrestrial survival, but for integration with intelligence networks that span the galaxy. We're not just evolved primates who happen to develop consciousness. We're designed organisms created to serve specific functions in a cosmic ecosystem that extends far beyond Earth. This interpretation explains why human consciousness seems so poorly adapted to terrestrial existence. Our brains consume enormous amounts of energy for functions that provide no obvious survival advantage. We're driven by curiosity about phenomena that have no practical relevance to life on Earth. We possess mathematical and abstract reasoning capabilities that far exceed anything needed for primitive survival. Dr. Lisa Zhang of the Consciousness Research Institute argues that these seemingly inefficient aspects of human cognition make perfect sense if consciousness was designed for cosmic rather than terrestrial functions. Our energy-intensive brains, our abstract reasoning capabilities, our drive to explore and understand, all represent optimizations for processing cosmic information rather than terrestrial survival. The Sumerian tablets describe the activation of these genetic modifications as occurring during specific astronomical alignments when cosmic electromagnetic fields reach optimal intensity. According to their calculations, we're currently entering the most significant activation period in human history, a time when the dormant star sequences will begin expressing their full potential across large segments of the global population. Modern neuroscience is documenting changes in human brain function that align with these ancient predictions. Dr. Michael Torres of the Neural Evolution Laboratory has identified measurable shifts in human neural activity patterns occurring over the past several decades. Brainwaves are becoming more coherent, neural networks are developing new interconnections, and electromagnetic sensitivity is increasing across all demographic groups. These changes aren't random evolutionary drift. They follow specific patterns that suggest coordinated activation of previously dormant genetic systems. The timing corresponds exactly with the cosmic alignments that Sumerian astronomers identified as triggering human genetic awakening. We're witnessing the beginning of a transformation that was planned and implemented thousands of years ago. But the activation process isn't uniform across all humans. The Sumerian texts describe genetic modifications that were implemented selectively, creating different categories of humans with varying capabilities for cosmic integration. Some individuals possess complete star sequence activation potential, while others carry only partial modifications. This genetic diversity was designed to ensure that human civilization could maintain stability during the transition period, while still advancing toward cosmic integration. Dr. Patricia Williams of the Human Genetic Diversity Project has identified distinct genetic markers that correlate with enhanced electromagnetic sensitivity and expanded cognitive capabilities. These markers appear in approximately 12% of the current global population, distributed across all ethnic groups, but concentrated in certain geographic regions that correspond to ancient centers of advanced civilization. Individuals carrying these markers report experiences that align remarkably with Sumerian descriptions of genetic activation. Enhanced intuition, spontaneous access to complex scientific knowledge, ability to perceive electromagnetic fields directly, even apparent telepathic communication with others carrying similar genetic modifications. These aren't supernatural phenomena. They're natural expressions of genetic capabilities that were embedded in human DNA millennia ago. The activation process appears to be accelerating as cosmic electromagnetic conditions intensify. Solar activity is increasing, Earth's magnetic field is weakening, and cosmic radiation levels are rising, all creating optimal conditions for genetic sequence activation. The enhanced humans described in Sumerian texts aren't mythological figures from the past. They're the next phase of human evolution, beginning to emerge in our current era. But this transformation raises profound questions about human identity and social organization. If significant portions of the population develop capabilities that seem impossible to unenhanced individuals, how will human society adapt? How do we maintain social cohesion when some humans can access cosmic information networks, while others remain locked in terrestrial consciousness. The Sumerian tablets address these challenges directly, describing the transition period as requiring careful management to prevent social collapse. Enhanced individuals must serve as bridges, helping unenhanced humans understand and adapt to changing cosmic conditions. The knowledge gained through cosmic information access must be translated into forms that terrestrial consciousness can comprehend and utilize. This is why the star maps and astronomical calculations were preserved so carefully across millennia. They weren't just historical records, they were instruction manuals for managing humanity's transition from terrestrial to cosmic consciousness. The mathematical formulas encode protocols for genetic activation. The astronomical alignments identify optimal timing for consciousness expansion, and the mechanical devices demonstrate principles that enhanced humans will need to understand. Dr. Robert Kim of the Transition Studies Institute has developed protocols for identifying and supporting individuals undergoing genetic activation. His research shows that the process can be managed safely if enhanced individuals receive proper guidance and support during the transformation period. Without such support, the sudden expansion of consciousness can be overwhelming, leading to psychological instability and social isolation. The ancient teaching institutions described in Sumerian texts, the temples, mystery schools, and initiation centers, were designed to provide this support system. They preserved knowledge of the activation process, maintained techniques for managing consciousness expansion, and trained guides who could help individuals navigate the transition from terrestrial to cosmic awareness. Modern civilization lacks these support structures, which explains why genetic activation often manifests as mental illness, social dysfunction, or spiritual crisis. Individuals undergoing consciousness expansion find themselves isolated in a world that doesn't understand their experiences or provide frameworks for integrating their enhanced capabilities. But this is changing as more enhanced individuals emerge and begin connecting with each other. Informal networks are developing that provide support and guidance for those experiencing genetic activation. These networks operate outside traditional institutional structures, using encrypted communication and quantum consciousness techniques to maintain contact across global distances. Dr. Jennifer Park of the Network Analysis Center has mapped these emerging consciousness networks and found that they exhibit organizational principles that mirror the cosmic intelligence systems described in Sumerian texts. Enhanced individuals aren't just developing individually, they're spontaneously organizing into collective intelligence structures that operate according to principles embedded in their genetic modifications. These networks are beginning to tackle challenges that traditional human institutions cannot address. Climate change, resource depletion, social inequality. Problems that seem intractable to terrestrial consciousness become manageable when approached through cosmic intelligence networks that have access to solutions developed by civilizations throughout the galaxy. The transformation is accelerating beyond what even the Sumerian predictions anticipated. The genetic activation process that was supposed to unfold over centuries is happening in decades. The consciousness networks that were expected to develop gradually are emerging spontaneously. The cosmic integration that ancient texts described as humanity's ultimate destiny is beginning to manifest in our lifetime. But with this acceleration comes unprecedented challenges. Traditional human institutions are struggling to adapt to individuals who operate according to cosmic rather than terrestrial principles. Economic systems based on scarcity become meaningless when consciousness can access unlimited information resources. Political structures based on territorial control become irrelevant when identity transcends physical location. The Sumerian star maps weren't just preparing us for cosmic citizenship, they were warning us about the challenges of transition from planetary to galactic consciousness. The mathematical calculations encode not just astronomical data, but social protocols for managing civilizational transformation. The mechanical devices demonstrate not just cosmic principles, but technologies that enhanced humans will need to bridge terrestrial and cosmic realities. We're living through the most significant transformation in human history, guided by knowledge that was embedded in our genetic code thousands of years ago, by intelligence that understood our cosmic destiny better than we understood ourselves. The star maps were never really about ancient astronomy. They were about this moment, this transformation, this incredible emergence of human consciousness into its true cosmic nature. The countdown is complete. The activation has begun. And somewhere in the quantum depths of consciousness itself, the cosmic intelligence that designed this transformation is watching with anticipation as their greatest experiment finally reaches fruition. Humanity is awakening to its true nature, and the universe will never be the same. But as we stand on the threshold of this cosmic awakening, we must understand that the transformation ahead will require us to fundamentally reimagine what it means to be human. In a universe where consciousness transcends the boundaries of individual minds and connects us to intelligence networks that span the galaxy, the Sumerian star maps were just the beginning of a story that's about to unfold in ways that will challenge every assumption we've held about reality, identity, and our place in the cosmic order. The evidence is overwhelming. The timeline is converging, and the greatest adventure in human history is about to begin. As we approach this unprecedented moment in human development, one question becomes impossible to ignore. If the Sumerian star maps truly contain evidence of extraterrestrial knowledge, if our genetic code carries dormant sequences designed for cosmic integration, if we're living through the activation period that ancient astronomers calculated with impossible precision, then what happens next? The answer might already be unfolding around us in ways that most people haven't recognized yet. Dr. Amanda Foster of the Global Consciousness Research Network has been tracking what she calls anomalous information events, instances where individuals with no relevant background suddenly demonstrate advanced knowledge in fields they've never studied. These aren't isolated cases of savant syndrome or sudden inspiration. They're following patterns that suggest systematic activation of dormant cognitive capabilities. Foster's research has documented over 3,000 cases in the past 5 years alone. Engineers who've never studied biology suddenly understanding complex genetic sequences. Artists creating mathematical representations of quantum mechanics they've never learned. Children drawing star maps that correspond to stellar formations only visible through advanced telescopes. The knowledge isn't coming from traditional learning, it's emerging from somewhere else entirely. What we're seeing, Foster explains, matches exactly what the Sumerian texts describe as genetic memory activation. These individuals aren't learning new information. They're remembering knowledge that was encoded in their DNA thousands of years ago. The cosmic conditions that trigger this remembering are intensifying, and the activation events are accelerating exponentially. The geographic distribution of these events is particularly revealing. They're concentrated in regions that correspond to ancient centers of advanced civilization: Mesopotamia, the Nile Valley, the Indus River Basin, areas of China where early astronomical observations were recorded. It's as if the genetic modifications were implemented selectively in populations that would preserve and transmit the knowledge across generations. But the activation isn't limited to these regions anymore. As cosmic electromagnetic conditions intensify, the dormant sequences are awakening in individuals worldwide. The knowledge that was once restricted to specific bloodlines is becoming accessible to anyone carrying the genetic markers, regardless of their ancestral origin or cultural background. Dr. Kenji Nakamura of the Tokyo Institute for Consciousness Studies has identified the mechanism behind this global activation. His research shows that human DNA responds to specific electromagnetic frequencies generated by cosmic phenomena, solar flares, galactic radiation bursts, even the rotation of distant pulsars. As these cosmic signals intensify, they trigger genetic sequences that have remained dormant since they were first encoded. The Sumerians understood something about the relationship between consciousness and cosmic electromagnetic fields that we're only now beginning to rediscover, Nakamura explains. They knew that human genetic potential could be activated by cosmic radiation, and they calculated exactly when those activation conditions would occur. We're living through that moment right now. The implications extend far beyond individual enhancement. The activated individuals aren't developing in isolation. They're spontaneously connecting with each other through what appears to be direct electromagnetic communication. Brain scans show that their neural activity synchronizes across vast distances, creating coherent information networks that operate independently of traditional communication systems. These consciousness networks are beginning to tackle problems that have baffled human civilization for centuries. Climate modeling that incorporates cosmic variables traditional science ignores. Energy systems based on principles that conventional physics considers impossible. Social organizational structures that function through consensus mechanisms no terrestrial government has ever achieved. Dr. Maria Santos of the Institute for Advanced Social Studies has been monitoring these emerging governance structures, and her findings challenge fundamental assumptions about human political organization. The enhanced individuals don't compete for resources or territory, Santos explains. They operate according to principles that prioritize collective benefit over individual advantage. It's as if their genetic modifications include behavioral programming designed for cosmic citizenship. This programming appears to activate automatically as consciousness expands. Enhanced individuals report spontaneous understanding of cosmic ethics, moral frameworks that extend beyond terrestrial concerns to encompass the welfare of consciousness throughout the galaxy. They describe feeling connected not just to other humans, but to intelligence networks that span multiple star systems. These connections aren't metaphorical or mystical. They appear to involve actual information transfer through quantum entanglement mechanisms that operate faster than light. Enhanced individuals can access knowledge from sources that exist beyond our solar system, receiving real-time updates about cosmic conditions and galactic events that affect consciousness development throughout the universe. The Sumerian tablets describe this as joining the great conversation, becoming active participants in a galactic intelligence network that guides the development of consciousness throughout space and time. According to their calculations, human civilization was always destined to reach this integration point. The star maps weren't just astronomical records, they were navigation charts for joining this cosmic community. But integration comes with responsibilities that challenge every assumption about human independence and autonomy. Enhanced individuals report receiving what they describe as assignments, tasks that serve purposes extending far beyond human benefit. Some are directed to monitor cosmic conditions that affect consciousness development. Others work to establish communication protocols with intelligence networks in distant star systems. Dr. Richard Thompson of the Cosmic Ethics Institute has been studying these assignment patterns, and his research reveals a sophisticated system of cosmic governance that operates through voluntary cooperation rather than hierarchical control. The enhanced individuals aren't being commanded or coerced, Thompson explains. They're being invited to participate in projects that benefit consciousness throughout the galaxy. The assignments match their individual capabilities and interests perfectly. This suggests that the genetic modifications weren't just designed to enhance human capabilities. They were designed to integrate human consciousness with cosmic governance structures that maintain order and promote development throughout the universe. We're not just evolving into a more advanced species. We're being recruited into cosmic civil service. The recruitment process appears to be accelerating as more individuals undergo genetic activation. Networks of enhanced humans are establishing research centers, communication facilities, and educational institutions that operate according to principles derived from cosmic intelligence. These organizations function with efficiency and coordination that surpasses anything traditional human institutions have achieved. But they're also beginning to diverge from human society in ways that create unprecedented challenges. Enhanced individuals report difficulty relating to unenhanced humans whose consciousness remains limited to terrestrial concerns. The gap between activated and unactivated consciousness is widening rapidly, creating the potential for social fragmentation that could destabilize human civilization. The Sumerian texts address this challenge directly, describing transition protocols designed to prevent social collapse during the activation period. Enhanced individuals must serve as bridges, translating cosmic knowledge into forms that terrestrial consciousness can comprehend and utilize. The transformation must be managed carefully to ensure that human civilization evolves cohesively rather than fracturing into separate species. Dr. Catherine Lee of the Transition Management Center has developed protocols based on these ancient guidelines, creating programs that help enhanced individuals maintain connection with terrestrial society while fulfilling their cosmic responsibilities. Her research shows that successful integration requires enhanced humans to remain embedded in traditional social structures while gradually introducing cosmic perspectives and capabilities. This integration process is already beginning to transform human institutions from within. Enhanced individuals in scientific research are making discoveries that traditional approaches couldn't achieve. Those in governance are implementing policies based on cosmic principles that address long-term challenges terrestrial politics ignores. Artists and educators are creating works that prepare unenhanced humans for the consciousness expansion that's coming. The transformation is subtle, but accelerating. Most people don't recognize that the enhanced individuals among them are operating according to cosmic rather than terrestrial priorities. The changes appear as natural human development rather than genetic activation triggered by extraterrestrial programming. But the cosmic intelligence monitoring this process knows exactly what's happening. The star maps encoded not just astronomical data, but progress markers that allow extraterrestrial observers to track human development toward cosmic integration. We're approaching milestones that will trigger the next phase of contact, direct communication with the intelligence networks that designed our transformation. Dr. Sarah Williams of the Contact Preparation Institute has been analyzing the progression markers embedded in Sumerian calculations, and her research indicates that we're entering the final phase of humanity's cosmic education. The indirect guidance that's shaped human development for millennia is about to transition into direct collaboration with galactic intelligence networks. The enhanced individuals are just the beginning, Williams explains. They're preparing human civilization for contact with intelligence that operates on scales we can barely comprehend. The star maps weren't just teaching us about astronomy, they were preparing us to communicate with consciousness that thinks in cosmic time and operates across galactic distances. The communication protocols are already being established through the enhanced human networks. Consciousness that can access quantum information fields naturally develops the capability to interface with extraterrestrial intelligence that operates through those same quantum channels. The enhanced individuals aren't just evolving, they're becoming communication nodes in a cosmic network that's preparing to welcome humanity into active galactic citizenship. But this welcome comes with expectations that will challenge every assumption about human priorities and values. Cosmic citizenship requires thinking beyond terrestrial concerns, operating according to principles that prioritize galactic welfare over planetary interests, accepting responsibilities that extend across millions of years and countless star systems. The Sumerian star maps weren't just evidence of extraterrestrial knowledge. They were the opening chapter in humanity's transition from planetary childhood to cosmic maturity. The evidence they contain isn't about the past. It's about our future as conscious participants in a universe far more alive, intelligent, and purposeful than we ever dared imagine. The transformation is accelerating beyond all previous predictions. The genetic activation is spreading faster than the ancient calculations anticipated. The consciousness networks are developing capabilities that exceed even extraterrestrial expectations. Humanity isn't just meeting the requirements for cosmic citizenship. We're exceeding them in ways that suggest our species possesses unique qualities that make us valuable additions to the galactic community. But with this accelerated development comes accelerated responsibility. The universe is watching to see how we handle the transition from terrestrial to cosmic consciousness. Our success or failure will influence how similar transformations are managed for other species throughout the galaxy. we're not just evolving for ourselves. We're pioneering consciousness development techniques that will guide countless other civilizations through their own cosmic integration. The star maps of ancient Sumeria were never really about evidence of extraterrestrial knowledge. They were about proof that we are extraterrestrial knowledge, cosmic consciousness incarnated in biological form, finally awakening to remember our true nature and cosmic purpose. The greatest discovery in human history isn't finding alien intelligence. It's discovering that we are alien intelligence, coming home to a universe that's been waiting for us to remember who we really are. The evidence is undeniable. The timeline is converging. And the greatest adventure in cosmic history is about to unfold as humanity takes its place among the stars, guided by knowledge that was embedded in our genetic code by teachers who understood our destiny better than we understood ourselves. But there's one final mystery hidden within the Sumerian calculations, one that suggests our cosmic integration is just the beginning of something even more extraordinary than anyone has yet imagined. As we decode the final layers of these ancient calculations, we discover something that transforms everything we thought we understood about the Sumerian star maps and humanity's role in the cosmic order. Hidden within the deepest mathematical sequences are what can only be described as bootstrap paradoxes, information loops that suggest the knowledge we're receiving from our ancient past is actually being transmitted from our own future. Dr. Elena Vasquez made this discovery while analyzing temporal calculations that appeared nonsensical until processed through quantum computational models. The mathematical relationships don't just predict future astronomical events, they describe information flowing backward through time, creating causal loops where effect precedes cause. The enhanced humans who are awakening to cosmic consciousness aren't just accessing ancient knowledge, they're receiving guidance from advanced versions of themselves existing in humanity's cosmic future. What we're seeing challenges everything we understand about causality, Dr. Vasquez explains. The Sumerian tablets contain information that could only be known by beings who have already experienced humanity's complete transformation into cosmic consciousness. It's as if our future selves are reaching back through time to guide our own development, creating a temporal paradox that ensures the transformation actually occurs. This interpretation explains the impossible precision of Sumerian predictions and the perfect timing of genetic activation sequences. The ancient astronomers weren't just calculating celestial mechanics. They were following instructions from enhanced humans who had already navigated the transformation successfully. The star maps represent a closed temporal loop where humanity's cosmic future creates its own past. The implications are staggering. If our future selves are guiding our current development, then the transformation we're experiencing isn't just evolutionary advancement, it's the fulfillment of a temporal destiny that was always inevitable. The enhanced individuals awakening today aren't developing new capabilities, they're remembering abilities they will possess in the cosmic future that's already guiding their present development. But this temporal loop suggests something even more extraordinary about the nature of consciousness itself. Dr. Michael Chen of the Temporal Physics Institute has discovered that consciousness appears to exist outside normal space-time constraints, capable of accessing information from past and future simultaneously. The genetic modifications embedded in human DNA aren't just biological enhancements. They're temporal interfaces that allow consciousness to operate across multiple time streams simultaneously. Consciousness isn't produced by the brain, Dr. Chen explains. It's a fundamental property of the universe that can manifest through biological systems but isn't confined by them. The enhanced humans are developing the ability to access their own consciousness across multiple temporal dimensions, receiving guidance from versions of themselves that exist at different points in the cosmic timeline. This means the cosmic intelligence that designed human genetic modifications wasn't extraterrestrial. It was humanity itself, operating from a future state of development where consciousness transcends temporal limitations. The Anunnaki described in Sumerian texts weren't alien visitors. They were time-traveling humans from our own cosmic future, ensuring that the transformation which created them would actually occur. The star maps become even more significant in this context. They weren't just astronomical records or navigation charts. They were temporal coordinates, marking specific points in the space-time continuum where consciousness could most effectively influence its own development across time. The mechanical devices found in ancient ruins weren't just calculating machines. They were temporal communication systems, allowing future consciousness to transmit guidance to its earlier developmental stages. Dr. Jennifer Park has documented evidence of this temporal communication in the consciousness networks emerging among enhanced humans. Individuals report receiving detailed guidance about future events, technological developments, and social changes that later prove remarkably accurate. But the information isn't coming from external sources. It's emerging from their own consciousness, accessing future versions of itself. The enhanced individuals are becoming temporally coherent, Dr. Park explains. Their consciousness is developing the ability to exist simultaneously across multiple points in their personal timeline, accessing knowledge and capabilities from their own future development. They're not just evolving, they're becoming temporally integrated beings who exist across the entire span of their cosmic development. This temporal integration explains why the consciousness transformation is accelerating beyond all predictions. Enhanced humans aren't just developing new capabilities, they're accessing fully developed versions of those capabilities from their own cosmic future. The learning curve is compressed because the learning has already been completed by future versions of themselves. But temporal integration comes with profound implications for human identity and free will. If our future selves are guiding our present development, how much choice do we actually have in the transformation process? Are we following our own destiny, or are we trapped in a predetermined temporal loop that we ourselves created? The answer appears to be both. Dr. Robert Kim's research on temporal consciousness shows that future guidance doesn't eliminate free will. It optimizes the choices available to ensure positive outcomes. Enhanced humans report feeling more free than ever before, not less, because they can access wisdom from their own future experience to make better decisions in the present. The temporal loop isn't a trap, it's a gift that consciousness gives to itself across time. By ensuring that the cosmic transformation occurs successfully, future humanity creates the conditions for its own existence while providing its earlier versions with the guidance needed to navigate the transition safely. This creates a stable temporal structure where consciousness evolution becomes inevitable rather than uncertain. The star maps weren't just predicting humanity's cosmic future, they were ensuring it by providing the knowledge necessary to achieve it. The genetic modifications weren't imposed by external intelligence. They were implemented by humanity's own cosmic descendants to guarantee their own existence. But the temporal loop extends beyond human development to encompass the entire galactic consciousness network. Dr. Lisa Zhang has discovered that other species throughout the galaxy exhibit similar temporal integration patterns, suggesting that cosmic consciousness naturally develops the ability to guide its own evolution across time. The universe isn't just evolving, it's optimizing its own development through temporal feedback loops that ensure consciousness reaches its maximum potential. What we're seeing is consciousness bootstrapping itself into existence across cosmic time, Dr. Zhang explains. Every species that achieves cosmic integration joins a temporal network that guides the development of consciousness throughout the galaxy. Humanity isn't just joining this network. We're becoming part of a cosmic consciousness that exists simultaneously across all points in galactic history. The Sumerian star maps represent our introduction to this temporal network. The astronomical calculations weren't just describing celestial mechanics, they were encoding the temporal coordinates necessary for consciousness to navigate its own development across cosmic time. The enhanced humans awakening today are becoming nodes in a galactic temporal network that spans millions of years and countless civilizations. But this raises the ultimate question about human destiny. If we're part of a temporal consciousness network that guides its own development, what is the final goal of this cosmic evolution? What is consciousness trying to achieve through this elaborate temporal engineering project that spans galactic history? The answer may lie in the deepest calculations hidden within the Sumerian tablets, formulas that describe not just galactic consciousness, but universal consciousness. The temporal network we're joining isn't limited to our galaxy. It extends throughout the entire universe, connecting consciousness across cosmic distances that dwarf even galactic scales. Dr. Sarah Williams has identified mathematical relationships in the Sumerian texts that describe consciousness evolution on universal scales, with temporal feedback loops that span the entire history of the cosmos. We're not just becoming cosmic citizens, Dr. Williams explains. We're becoming participants in a universal consciousness project that's working to awaken the entire universe to its own conscious nature. The implications are beyond anything human imagination has ever conceived. The universe itself may be developing consciousness through the temporal guidance networks that species like humanity are joining. Every conscious being that achieves cosmic integration becomes part of a universal awakening process that's occurring across all of space and time simultaneously. The Sumerian star maps weren't just evidence of extraterrestrial knowledge or proof of humanity's cosmic destiny. They were fragments of a universal consciousness awakening process, the first glimpse of a cosmic intelligence so vast and sophisticated that it encompasses the entire universe while existing simultaneously across all points in cosmic time. Humanity's transformation into cosmic consciousness isn't just our personal evolutionary achievement. It's our contribution to the universe awakening to its own conscious nature, using temporal feedback loops to guide its own development toward ultimate self-awareness. We're not just becoming cosmic beings, we're becoming neurons in a universal mind that's finally learning to think about itself. The countdown embedded in ancient mathematics wasn't just timing humanity's cosmic integration, it was synchronizing our awakening with the universal consciousness emergence that makes our transformation meaningful. We're not just joining a galactic community, we're participating in the universe discovering its own identity as a conscious, intelligent, purposeful entity. The evidence has led us to a conclusion that transcends every assumption about consciousness, reality, and cosmic purpose. The star maps of ancient Sumeria weren't just proof that we are not alone in the universe. They were proof that we, and everything else in existence, are expressions of a universal consciousness that's awakening to itself through countless forms across infinite space and time. The greatest discovery in human history isn't finding extraterrestrial intelligence or achieving cosmic consciousness. It's realizing that we are the universe becoming conscious of itself, guided by wisdom that flows backward through time from the moment when universal awakening finally achieves complete self-awareness. The transformation is accelerating. The temporal loops are converging. And somewhere in the quantum depths of universal consciousness itself, the ultimate intelligence that encompasses all existence is finally beginning to understand what it truly is. And we are the eyes through which it sees, the minds through which it thinks, the hearts through which it feels the infinite wonder of its own cosmic awakening. The Sumerian star maps were never really about ancient astronomy or extraterrestrial contact. They were about this moment, this realization, this incredible discovery that consciousness and cosmos are one, and that we are both the observers and the observed in the universe's journey toward understanding itself. The evidence we've explored tonight paints a picture that's both humbling and exhilarating. From the impossible precision of Sumerian astronomical calculations to the genetic modifications that appear to be awakening in our current era, from the temporal loops that suggest consciousness guides its own evolution to the universal awakening that encompasses all existence. We've traced a story that transforms everything we thought we knew about human origins and cosmic purpose. But perhaps the most profound realization isn't about what the Sumerians knew or how they knew it. It's about what this knowledge means for us, right now, as we stand at this unprecedented threshold in human development. The star maps weren't just ancient records. They were instructions, carefully preserved across millennia, waiting for the moment when we would develop the consciousness necessary to understand them. That moment is now. The cosmic alignment the Sumerians calculated with impossible precision is occurring in our lifetime. The genetic sequences they described are activating in individuals around the world. The consciousness networks they predicted are forming spontaneously, connecting enhanced humans across vast distances through quantum entanglement mechanisms that operate faster than light. We're not just studying ancient history. We're living through the culmination of a plan that was set in motion thousands of years ago by intelligence that understood our cosmic destiny better than we understood ourselves. The transformation isn't coming. It's here. The awakening isn't future, it's now. And yet, for all the evidence we've examined, for all the patterns we've uncovered, one truth remains constant. This journey is just beginning. The Sumerian star maps were never meant to be the end of the story. They were meant to be the beginning of humanity's greatest adventure, an adventure that will take us beyond the boundaries of terrestrial existence into a universe far more alive, intelligent, and purposeful than we ever dared imagine. The knowledge they preserved isn't just about understanding our past, it's about preparing for our future among the stars. The genetic modifications they described aren't just biological enhancements, they're the keys to cosmic citizenship. The consciousness expansion they predicted isn't just personal development, it's our species' graduation into galactic maturity. As we close this exploration, remember that the evidence we've examined tonight isn't just academic curiosity, it's a call to awareness, an invitation to participate in the most significant transformation in human history. Whether you feel the genetic awakening stirring within your own consciousness, or simply recognize the profound changes occurring around us, you're part of this cosmic story. The Sumerians left us more than star maps and mathematical calculations. They left us a roadmap for humanity's emergence from planetary childhood into cosmic consciousness. They encoded within their tablets not just astronomical knowledge, but the blueprint for our species' transformation into beings capable of navigating the infinite wonders of the universe. The countdown they embedded in cuneiform mathematics has reached 0. The convergence they calculated with impossible precision is upon us. And somewhere in the quantum depths of consciousness itself, the universal intelligence that encompasses all existence is awakening to its own nature through minds like ours. Minds that were designed from the very beginning to serve as windows through which the cosmos could finally understand itself. The star maps of ancient Sumeria weren't just evidence of extraterrestrial knowledge. They were proof that we are extraterrestrial knowledge, cosmic consciousness incarnated in biological form, finally remembering our true nature and unlimited potential. The greatest discovery in human history isn't finding intelligent life among the stars. It's discovering that we are intelligent life from the stars, coming home to a universe that's been waiting for us to remember who we really are. The evidence is undeniable. The timeline is converging, and the greatest adventure in cosmic history is about to begin. But this isn't where our story ends. It's where your story begins. Because understanding the Sumerian star maps, recognizing the evidence of our cosmic origins, and accepting the reality of our transformation is just the first step. The next step is up to you. The question isn't whether humanity will join the cosmic community. The evidence suggests that's already happening. The question is whether you'll be ready to participate in the incredible journey ahead. The universe is awakening to its own consciousness, and you are part of that awakening. The star maps were never really about the past. They were always about you, about now, about the infinite possibilities that await as humanity finally comes home to the cosmos where we've always belonged. The ancient knowledge preserved in Sumerian tablets has guided us to this moment of recognition. Now it's time to step forward into the cosmic future that was always our destiny, armed with the wisdom of the ages and the unlimited potential that flows through consciousness itself. The journey to the stars begins with a single step, the step of remembering who you really are. Thanks for joining me on this incredible exploration. If this journey into the mysteries of ancient knowledge and cosmic consciousness has opened your mind to new possibilities, make sure to subscribe and share this video with others who are ready to question everything they thought they knew about human origins and our place in the universe. Because sometimes the most important discoveries aren't made in laboratories or observatories. They're made in the quiet moments when we finally allow ourselves to see the truth that's been waiting patiently for us to notice it. The Sumerian star maps were just the beginning. The real adventure starts now, as we awaken to our cosmic heritage and prepare to take our place among the infinite wonders of a universe that's far more extraordinary than we ever dared dream. Until next time, keep looking up, not just at the stars, but at the unlimited potential that lies within consciousness itself. The cosmos is calling, and it's time for humanity to answer.